There we go.
I'm certain. Can you, how's that, Dave? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
All right. David, you want to come forward? We're going to take you first, and then
Thank you.
we'll get to the mayor. And Mayor, the only reason I'm doing this is he's got more money than me and you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gave him a bunch.
Oh, okay.
Only because you awarded it to us. But what I wanted to do is just take a few minutes and update you on the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program. We submitted to you report number 2. I disseminated a copy of that to everyone, and it has been submitted to the city. But I wanted to also introduce Mr. Ron Ondachek. We just hired Ron.
Please have him to come up and.
Come on, Ron. Ron will be our senior analyst and fund manager in the EAP program. Ron, we hired Ron out of an investment company in New Orleans. He and his wife, Michelle, are moving to Shreveport, so he'll be one of the key coaches and mentors for startup companies as part of the EAP program. Thanks, Ron. We also submitted our application to the Louisiana Economic Development Small Business Program. That's the $900,000 match from the state. We expect to see that award in January. That would bring our angel fund total to $2.4 million that we'll have available to invest in startups in Shreveport and Caddo. We also would like to report that 26 of 26 private investors invested in the fund. That's almost unheard of. So we were 100% on that. And important to you, as of September, right now, Ron and I are working with 33 startup companies or early stage concepts that we hope to be able to get through EAP and get their businesses kicked off here in Shreveport. Right now, today, we looked at our what we had right now, and since September, it's up to 45 that we're working with. We also worked with the Startup Prize that they've been in the media lately. A lot of those entrepreneurs that went into that startup, we're also working with them to keep them here as part of that. The EAP website is up, so we're accepting applications for any startup companies that want to get into the EAP. To date, we've had 4 companies already go through the website as part of the and request to be part of the EAP program. As part of this, we have also met with all of the higher education institutions. I've been to LSU Shreveport, Southern Shreveport, Grambling, Louisiana Tech, Centenary, to make sure that their graduates know the EAP program is up and operational, where if they want to start a business or have a concept that they want to commercialize, they know we're there, and we're also going to team with them. A significant point here is Ron and I recently participated in the Houston, Texas Angel Network meeting, and the first presenter at that meeting was a Shreveport native who went to Houston to get funding and get his business started. And his name is David Graham. We're working with David and his company right now to try and present an opportunity for him to put part of his company here in Shreveport. Okay. With that, Mr. Chairman, that's our update. If there are any questions?
We have any questions for David?
If I do, I'm sure they'll be included in this nice report we got.
Thank you, sir.
If not, David, I don't know whether we have suggested this before, but I would hope that maybe every 3 to 6 months you could come back to the council and kind of let us know what's going on.
Absolutely, Mr.
Because
Chairman.
what you're doing is extremely important.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Certainly.
if not, David, we appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Mayor, we're going to come to you at this point and
Mr.
see
Chairman,
what
we
you
haven't
have.
done the minutes, a
Huh?
couple of the minutes yet.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the minutes of October 27th, October 28th, and the amendment to the December 10th of 2013.
Second.
It's been moved and second for the approval of the minutes. Do we have any questions or corrections at this time? If not, let's all vote, please. Okay, minutes have been approved with a five vote and 2 out of the chamber. Well, no.
For yes?
Yes.
Did
Okay,
you want to
good.
vote, Mr.?
I'm going to say yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Shine, council members. As usual, we want to express welcome and appreciation to all of those who are here today joining us live and in person, as well as those who are watching via Ustream and Comcast. Certainly commend anyone who takes time to engage and participate and be a part of our local democratic process. I also want to join you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this council in extending congratulations to Councilmember-elect Jerry Bowman for his victory. I think you also have current Commissioner and Councilwoman-elect Stephanie Lynch, who is not here with us in person, to my understanding, but is also soon to be a new member of this body as well. Extend congratulations to her also, and also want to join this council as well as Councilman Sam Jenkins in that wonderful prayer he rendered today, in expressing thanks and appreciation to all of the veterans who are here today amongst us. And Mr. Chairman, I don't know if it would be appropriate or not, but I know you have at least one of your council members who happens to be a veteran. I think your council clerk is a veteran. I know the CAO is a veteran. I see a few others out in the audience. Might be appropriate for us to ask them to stand, or for us to stand for them and to give them a round of applause and an expression of appreciation for their service.
Why don't we let them stand, since we have the Lieutenant Colonel?
They leave me out, I'll tell you.
Sam over here is a veteran too. Okay, please.
We thank you all for the...
Mayor, I'm going to have to start giving B a little bit more respect. I didn't know that.
Oh, come on.
She was a general.
Army.
Good Army lady.
Was it Army B?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God! Congratulations.
They have to say there was quite a few. You got Charles back there in the back. I mean, there are a lot of Army folks in this room.
Army, all right. David right there, man. You see? All right.
Hey, okay.
He's 101st.
Outnumbered as usual.
Right?
All right.
101st, right, David? 101st? 82nd, that was it.
All right. So good, so good.
In fact, between David and Dale, you've got two men who jumped out of perfectly good aircraft.
I wonder why do they want to do that?
One's 101st, the other 82nd, both airborne. I never could understand it myself.
I just get
They
Dale.
were recruited for airborne, though, I'm sure.
We were brainwashed, you know.
Oh, okay then.
Drafted into that.
All in a day, you know. All in a day. No, not at all.
Good aircraft, and you want to jump out of it. You know that's.
The secret is
gotta
they
be
pushed
crazy.
us out. No,
All right. Oh, okay.
You don't go, they push you out.
Okay.
There were all-night jumps, too.
We thank you all for your service and certainly express our appreciation. Have to say a special word for my favorite veteran, my father, Clarence E. Glover Sr., who served in the Air Force during Korea. Also want to commend all of the various schools and groups and organizations across the city today who put forth various Veterans Day observances. Outstanding efforts all around. Great opportunity for our young people to be able to continue to understand exactly the sacrifice that it took in order for us to be able to enjoy the blanket of freedom under which we all rest each night. So thank you all for your service, and thank you for your continued commitment to the country. Also want to take a point and express appreciation and thanks to Commissioner Ken Epperson and Mrs. Linda Clements, who I believe are the two folks who are the drivers, although they are supported and assisted by a host of individuals from both the city and the parish, as well as the private sector and other various groups across the Northwest Louisiana community in putting on the third annual Veterans Parade that took place this past Sunday on the last Sunday of the Louisiana State Fair. Wonderful day, great weather, and a tremendous opportunity for us to be able to honor and celebrate our regional veterans. So thanks goes out to those two folks for helping to make that happen, as well as to all the various folks who served on the committee and other people who came out to show their appreciation of our vets. Also have to take a moment to express thanks to Dan Keel and all of the folks who are involved with the Makers Fair. They put on their most recent effort this past Saturday. They expressed great thanks and appreciation to Shelley Regal and all of her staff with SPAR in terms of helping to support and facilitate, but did not get a chance to attend myself, but as I understand it, another home run, another very positive happening here in downtown Shreveport, and we look forward to the next Makers Fair and continue to see it grow, expand, and to blossom. Also, want to remind all of those who are interested and lovers of music that this coming Saturday will be the 2014 installment of the Highland Jazz and Blues Festival. One Kermit Ruffins of New Orleans will be the special featured guest. If you've never had a chance to be able to come and hear Kermit Ruffins play his trumpet, then you have certainly missed a treat. You'll get a chance to do so this Saturday, free of charge, here in the city of Shreveport at the Columbia Park off of Line Avenue, just a couple of blocks north of Kings Highway. So if you get a chance, come out and definitely be a part of that. Lastly, in terms of this portion of our communications, want to also invite all of those who are interested in the continued advancement of the development of Cross Bayou to come out this coming Thursday for a series of meetings that will take place at the downtown library. You'll have a chance to be able to hear reports back, and Stephen and Mark, correct me if I misspeak, but that will be, I believe, at the downtown branch of the Shreveport Memorial Library, starting at what time?
I think it's 10 o'clock.
Starting at 10 o'clock in the morning and going throughout the day. We certainly invite folks to come down, have a chance to be able to see some of the information that was gathered at the last meeting month before last. Have a chance to see that information compiled and assembled in a form that shows you what some of the possibilities are. It has taken a good number of the ideas and the suggestions that were offered by folks who came and engaged in that process and come and be a part of continuing to support and advance that effort. It's a great chance for us to be able to see how we can hopefully put ourselves in a position to come up with the resources necessary to be able to brownfield a good portion of that Cross Bayou area. In doing so, it will open it up for some tremendous development along the lines of recreational opportunities, commercial development, and also hopefully some residential development as well. So that's this coming Thursday, starting at 10:30 at the downtown library. With that, Mr. Chairman and council members, we will transition into our official mayoral communications at this time, if you would so
Please,
allow.
just one moment. I forgot to ask if there's any representatives here from both of the mayoral camps who candidates who is in the runoff now. If not, we appreciate it, and I just want to recognize Mr. Mayor, your friend back there, Mr. Charles Filliard, who played professional football for quite some time. Now, turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Shine. Charles Filliard was not only a great professional football player, he also taught school a little bit and managed to corral myself and a few Green Oaks Giants back in the early 1980s when he was in his off season, and
Well,
had a bit of his wit, wisdom, and insight with us over the years. And
I don't want to make it seem like I'm as old as you and Charles, but I remember when Charles was at Bethune High School, and I was at Booker T, and we took he and his coach and their team from Bethune down to the state track meet, and I don't know whether Charles won first or second that day, and now when Charles
Said second, Mr. Chairman.
second, when Charles got down there, Mr. Mayor, they wasn't very many people who had seen somebody as large as Charles, especially in high school. So they was going around looking at him, you know. So I was just happy to be down there with Charles, because I knew I was protected then, a little guy like me. Okay.
But now, Mr. Shine, you also have to acknowledge that Charles didn't just play football.
That's what I'm saying. We took him down there to track.
No, but I mean, when you say, I played football.
Yeah.
You know, Oliver Jenkins played football.
Okay.
Charles Filial.
Not at that level.
Charles Filial is a Super Bowl champion.
Oh yeah. Well, we all know that. Yeah, right.
Who made the cover of Sports Illustrated as he was coming in to sack our very own Terry Bradshaw. So that's a gulf of difference between playing football and what Charles Filial did. So I just want to make sure that
Oliver, you hear that, huh?
That's a fair assessment. I'm not taking that personally at all.
well, that's part of why I'm gonna join Charles in expressing the sentiment that he needs to be at least one of our Hall of Fames here, locally, if not statewide, because he played football kind of like Michelangelo painted pictures. So
Wow, now that is. Okay, Mr. Mayor.
I want to make that point.
All right, let's move on now. All right.
Want to, at this point, Mr. Shine, call up Charlotte Knight, our municipal advisor. You all
Please.
know that we have been busy over the last several weeks or so regarding several bond transactions that we're still in the midst of, but want to have her provide just a brief oversight of where we are and where we're going.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of City Council. For the record, my name is Charlotte Knight Marshall, and I'm your municipal advisor. I'm the only representative here today. We had a couple yesterday. We have so far gone to market with 3 of the 4 proposed transactions. We're in the process of closing the 3rd one. So we have done the new money general obligation. We have done the refunding of the water and sewer, and we are in the process of completing the new money water and sewer, which leaves the refunding of the general obligation bond to be completed sometime in the next few weeks, depending on where we are with the market and timing. We had successful pricings on all 3. We're closing the 3rd one that's coming up, so we'll have final numbers for you on that transaction. And it has been our distinct pleasure to get all this done. It's been like a track meet. Kind of feel like Mr. Charles back there. We've been running really fast and really hard, but it's getting done, and it's getting done successfully. I would also like to report that for the first time, your investor base has been expanded exponentially. When we originally came on board, there were 6 holders of the City of Shreveport paper, and now that number is approaching 40. The reason that is important is because in market penetration is what gives you competitions, which is what ultimately gives you better pricing. So if there are any questions, I'd entertain them. Yes, sir, Mr. Jenkins.
Okay, now this may be a little unfair to you, so Sharika, we can talk about it later, but I didn't know if you knew off the top of your head, once we've done these refundings, what our new debt service is, what that leaves in terms of, in our debt service account, in terms of difference of what we're obligated to pay on an annual basis and what we're actually collecting. Now without getting into the details, obviously have been overmilled, and in the past we reduced our property taxes to account that. I measured that was extremely prudent by this administration, and I'm wondering if we're not also getting close to that level again, and what that delta does, if you happen to know, based on the new debt on these refundings, how much delta is still available in that debt service.
Are you talking about your debt service reserve requirements? Are you talking about your debt service, what you're obligated to every year to pay out on an annual, semi-annual basis.
Okay, I guess, so one number would be what we take in every year compared to what we're obligated to pay every year, whatever that difference in balance is, because to me, that's what we're over milled, arguably, plus or minus some reserve, whether it's 1 year's worth of reserve or 2 years, depending on what our practice is. That's probably the second question.
Okay, let me see if I can answer this. On the water and sewer specifically, you are under a consent decree. And as a part of that consent decree, you had built-in increases over the next several years. So your ability to repay water and sewer is not in question. In terms of...
And I shouldn't have said water and sewer, because I realize that's an enterprise fund and
Okay,
not
yes.
in the debt
Okay.
service.
So in terms of your general obligations, I don't have that number at hand immediately. I don't know if Sharika or Dale has it, but we can certainly get that number sent to you and all the other members of City Council as to what your previous requirements were as compared to your current requirements. Now, the silver lining in all that is you're doing a refunding on the deal we just did a couple of weeks ago. The refunding on the the refunding on the general obligation, which is coming up, not the past one, is coming up, is going to lower some of your borrowing costs because the interest rate is lower. So that's going to have an impact on that, on what you pay out on your existing debt. On your new debt, that was calculated in, and to my knowledge and my belief, is that you have more than enough because there is a provision that, or a policy that you have where you have to have a certain amount of revenue to cover your debt payments. And that payment, I believe, is, a requirement is 1.25 ratio. So you have to have 1.25 times the amount of money that you need on any given year. And as
Kind of a reserve. Yeah.
exactly, and as the bonds mature, you're paying a portion of that off every year until it's full and complete maturity. So the next position would be that you will also have in future, more than likely, general obligation debt that you will have to issue. And when you look at that in the future, as opposed to what you've paid off, what you currently have existing, and what your needs are in the future, everything's still going to have to come within the process of, we have to have more than we need to pay it off always available.
Right, but we got a couple of different issues there,
Yeah,
and Dale probably knows more
I think I know where you're going,
specifically where I'm
Charlotte. All deals with, part of the requirement is that we roll back anytime we have an excess amount of millage that we're collecting. Charles has been tracking it. Let me see if he can help out
And
Charlotte
but
and giving
it didn't have to be today.
that
She
information.
was just up here.
Yeah.
If y'all
But
see
he
me-
has it, if you'd like to.
Sure,
like to
that's
hear
great.
it.
If
Yeah.
we got, I didn't mean to make this the focus
No,
of the meeting.
it's something we track because we're sensitive to that rollback, as we've done before in the event we have too much, and, give the citizens some relief on that.
But I wanted to repeat that part about us cutting taxes again, though, would you?
What a great job that was.
You want me to say I was, fully supportive, and I thought it was a great move of this administration to do that, and I would encourage them to do it again before they leave office, because there may be that opportunity here to give our citizens a Christmas present going out the door.
I have not looked at the number dealing with what will be looked after we do the refunding. But I talked to Julie last night, and if I do the calculations out with each issue, I'm less than a mil over what I need. So in 15,
You're less than a mil.
yes.
So
In
the
other words,
delta's not
of
very
the
wide.
22.5 or 20.05 that we're charging, I'm like 0.6 of a mil over what I'm actually need to
Okay.
collect to cover all the debt that I have for this year. So like I said, with that refunding, that will change that. So what the council approves for collection next year will actually be less.
Okay. Well, it'd be great if we got 10 mils on the refunding, but I doubt we're gonna get it, so
Right.
that kind of negates my point. Okay, I thought there was still a significant delta, but I
No,
was
the refunding amount of the bonds is, as it stands, about 4 to 5 days ago, we were somewhere in the 1.6, 1.7 million in savings because the refunding only covers a small duration. It's only covering a 4-year period because it's some of your outstanding bonds, and they only have 4 years. The ones we're refunding that are what we call in the money, where there's savings, have a duration of like right around 4 years. So, and that's as of 4 or 5 days ago. And if anybody knows, Mr. Jenkins, I know you know what the market's been doing. It's been doing the dance and the jiggle, and, you know, since the election, since the stock market has taken off. So whatever we get when we go to market, that's when we can definitively say, you have X amount in savings, and then Charles can calculate. But until then, it's just...
No, I understand. And I thought you were going to tell me we were 4 or 5 mils over at this point, and depending on where we came in on this,
Nope.
you know, we need to look at that. But
Nope.
if we're at a half a mil right now, I know that savings isn't going to be.
Not gonna happen. Not unless we find miraculously a whole bunch of bonds that come into the money, which I don't think is gonna happen. Next year, potentially, when other maturities become available for refunding or advanced refunding, we can look at that. But we looked at everything. We looked at every single maturity that we potentially could look at that had a actual savings. And things that didn't have savings, it didn't make sense. Now, having said that, in the future, if there is another GO refunding opportunity, you may do a refunding which is called not just economic, but to catch the covenants, all the resolutions and ordinances up with the current laws and rules. As you know, there's been significant changes in the MSRB, SEC, NASD, and a bunch of other initials, rules that became effective January, I think April and July respectively. So we may have to do what you call a non-economic refunding to just be able to change and correct documents. You're not happy, you're not smiling.
It didn't sound like that's cost effective, but that's just.
But you know what it is? It's like some of your documents, like one of the resolutions we worked under is from 1984. So fast forward is 2014. Can you imagine all the changes in law, not only at local, but state and federal that have occurred over a 30-year period? So at some point, and we're discussing with staff, at some point we're going to have to make corrections so that you will be in total compliance with current law, both state and federal. And sometimes you have to like defease the bonds, depending on the legal environment, you have to defease the bonds so that you can make changes to the documents. Are there any other questions?
No, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to my very capable and able staff. I want to go back and make sure I give the specifics in terms of the Cross Bayou Corridor planning process on Thursday. Mr. Chairman, council members, it will be starting at 10 a.m. In the Eves Room of the Shreve Memorial Library here in downtown Shreveport. The November workshop will include stakeholders, media, and all members of the public will have an opportunity to review previous research, mapping, and visioning documents, as well as tentative plans for the Cross Bayou site produced earlier by charrette participants, including students and faculty from Louisiana Tech School of Design, as well as citizens from throughout the area. The planning team will make a public presentation at noon on the 13th, summarizing findings, proposed planning principles, and design strategies for the site's future development. So again, any and all who are interested and able, encourage them to please come out on day after tomorrow, 10 o'clock a.m., noon presentation to downtown library. And with that, we turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Any council members have anybody they'd like to recognize? Any points they want to make?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to add my public congratulations to Councilmember-elect Jared Bowman Jr. who will be coming in. Just want to tell him he has some big shoes to fill here in District G.
Hey.
But I know he's up to the task, and congratulations to you. I've already congratulated you privately, but I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you publicly, and also let our citizens know that District G is in good hands with Mr. Bowman, and of course we will be here to assist you in any way that we can. His brother Gerald serves on the Caddo Parish Commission, representing District 5 that kind of overlaps part of District G. So we have the Bowman family that's being well represented in the heart of Queensboro and West Shreveport. So just want you to know how pleased I am with that, and just know that I'm here to assist you in any way that I can. And of course, we have a friendship, and we certainly will continue to work together to make sure we're doing whatever we can for that particular area. And the mayor did touch upon another congratulations that I did want to give out, and I would like to give my personal congratulations to Commissioner Ken Epperson on the effort with the Veterans Parade and Ceremony. I did not make the parade, but I did make it to the ceremony. It was a very befitting ceremony, and Ken and members of the Caddo Parish Commission and that committee ought to be commended for year in and year out making this a very well-established, well-recognized Veterans Day celebration in our area. So I do want to extend my congratulations there also, as well as congratulations to my colleagues here on the Shreveport City Council, Councilwoman Rose Wilson McCulloch and Councilman Jeff Everson, making the runoff election. Certainly wish them well in their efforts, and congratulations to the two persons who have been selected to go into the runoff for the mayor's race. Let's keep both Ms. Tyler and Ms. Provenza in our prayers. It's a big job that they will be coming into. Sort of want to congratulate them on running successful campaigns. Certainly wish both of them well in their pursuit. I want to take this opportunity also just to thank and express my appreciation to the citizens of District G for the privilege of representing you here on this council. I have a couple of more meetings, but I do want you to note I do not take for granted the trust that you have placed in me as your representative for District G. I hope that we've done a good job for you. We will not be going forward. We will remain very involved in the community and do those things that we need to do to make sure that both the district and the communities represented are moving forward in a very well and progressive way. But I do want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation. I am fine. I accept the results of my election in my run for mayor. I want to express my appreciation to so many citizens who have called me since that time. But I want you to know that I am fine. It's been 8 straight wonderful years. Okay, I could use a little rest and pay a little attention to some other matters that we need to look into, and we'll wait and see what God has next for us to do. But I just want to take this opportunity to make those expressions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate you.
Any other council member?
Councilman
Yes.
Shine, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of our veterans, and I got my hat on, and I want to say hats off to you for all of your services for the United States of America and all of the different divisions of the military forces. Again, thank you so much for serving our country. On behalf of District A in the city of Shreveport.
Any more? If not, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Stephanie Lynch for winning District F, which may have held for a long time, I believe, since you were in junior high school, probably.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to also congratulate Mr. Lynn Cawthorn, who also made the runoff in District B, and Mr. Willie Bradford, who also made the runoff in District A. It's more than a notion sometimes when you put yourself out there for public service. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you get rained out. That's just the way it is. So I want to thank all of you all who have done that, and there's one other person, I know she's down here for some business, but Miss Simone Hennessy. Simone, the city of Shreveport will always be indebted to you for the services that you have rendered to the I guess I can say those who have been a little less fortunate in our communities. You know, Simone, a lot of us like to help those who can help us, but it's not very many of us who dedicate our lives to helping those that really need the kind of help that we can give them. And Simone, you've done that. Again, like I say, I wish we had some kind of plaque that we could give you. But you have really done God's work. And Jesus said that you helped the less fortunate ones. That's what you've dedicated your life to. And I know you get a lot of satisfaction out of just doing just that. And I want to let you know that I really appreciate it, because I've seen your program go over the years. It has really grown, and you have really helped a lot of people. And I don't want to sound like a preacher, because we might have some in here, but I know you have your crown in heaven, and God will be glad to see you, because you are one of the angels here on earth. So continue to do the good work that you're doing. All right, Miss Farnell. Where's Miss Farnell?
She's in the back.
Please come forward. I see Reverend Francis over there, so don't you get too far. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Farnell? Any questions? If not, Ms. Farnell, just hang around. I know Reverend Francis will have some for you in a minute or two. Okay. Mr. Sibley, how about your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You all should have received electronically the copy of the latest sales and use tax collections report. I'd like to highlight a couple of things just for the general information. Overall, the parish is doing very well. We're up 8.5% throughout Caddo Parish, but specifically in the city, we're up 9.6% over the last month, about 4.9% for the year. The great thing about it, we are over 100,000 already. Our budgeted number was 100 million. A little short there. Our budgeted number was 114 million. We're well on track to exceed that. If you recall, we revised our mid-year projections to project that we'd end up somewhere around 118, which was the basis for our projections going into 2015. And we feel, looking, and you can look at the historical trends there and see that we kind of stay flat for the next 2 months, we really should hit that target. So we feel very good about that. Again, we only budgeted less than a 1% increase, and we're at about 5% increase. I want to note a couple of things that have kind of turned. Hotel motel is up a bit, so I think that reflects greater occupancy. Auto sales have come back. Those numbers are back up. You know, we had a couple of months with double-digit downturn in sales taxes there. We also included the breakout by class, and I think the good thing about this particular report, if you look at it, is not dependent upon mining. Mining actually is in a negative category this period, but you see the increase there in medical, wholesale durables, some of those things that are more permanent, more lasting. So we think that's a very good sign in terms of the sales tax collection. It's not dependent upon mining. It's not dependent upon the downturn in that industry. We're actually seeing it in other areas across the board. And if you look at the past couple of months in terms of that business class, you've seen those numbers vary. So different sectors are going up at different times, and overall that goes very well. If there are any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. But basically, you have the report. We think it bodes well for the 2014 budget. We think it bodes well for the 2015 budget. And we just hope the economy keeps going the way it's going here locally.
Okay, thank you, Dale. Anybody have any questions for Dale? If not, Ms. Scott, do you have anything you'd like to say? Where's Ms. Scott?
Mr. Chairman, I know she forwarded her report electronically. She had to step out. So if there are any questions, we'll be sure and get them to her, but y'all should have a copy of it.
Okay. Mr. Sweeney, I know you're on for the second council meeting in this month, but you have anything you'd like to say at this point?
There's not a report at this time on the master plan that will come the second meeting.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to give you an opportunity.
Could I ask him if maybe he
Yeah,
could share with...
Mr. Sweeney.
You need to come up to the mic so
I'm
they can...
sorry.
Could you
right.
possibly share the nature of the meeting that we just recently had, the subcommittee regarding seeking the endorsement from the MPC in reference to choice neighborhoods. Could you
Absolutely.
just talk about that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. We did have our master plan committee convene and heard a presentation from community development on the choice neighborhoods proposal. They presented a very effective plan of what they want to do in renovating the neighborhood, and they are now seeking the approval and review from the MPC board in order to go to the next step for application for grant monies to do an implementation stage for the project. And so we were very encouraged and felt like it was a very good project and has tremendous momentum, we believe.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, do we have a public hearing?
We do. We have two public hearings, one on the 2015 budget ordinances and the other on resolution number 28 of 2014. I believe the administration is ready to...
Yes, we are.
Mr. Sibley, let me declare this public hearing open.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Thompson, we'll start with the proposed 2015 budget ordinances. In accordance with our discussion yesterday, because we presented a couple of times on this, it's been published that we're limiting today's presentation to a much more condensed version, focusing on the impact of some of the legislation that's before the council and how that may impact the backside numbers that have been presented. And if it's okay, I'd like to call Ms. Sharika Fields at this time to come forward and present on behalf of the administration.
Good afternoon. We had the benefit of doing the budget overview during the first meeting in October and are continuing to do the detailed budget review sessions, which we are over halfway complete. We have two more remaining and are planning for the council to give approval for the budget on the first meeting in December. And this is an overview, just highlighting some specifics as we wind down toward the final approval of the budget, and any specifics on departments, we can go through those as well.
Ms. Sharika, excuse me, let's be sure and give the dates and times of those last two hearings before you wrap up.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I'll give those also.
Okay.
And this is just an overview of the operating and the capital budget. And it shows slight increases in the operating budget, not due to increases in the cost of services, but increases to certain obligations that the city has, including longevity, also increases in the healthcare system, and increases in the funding of the pension system.
Can you say that again? Sorry. So those are, is there a section on here that's just the amount that's increased?
For the operating budget,
Yes.
this only shows the total of $481 million.
Yeah, okay. I didn't, sorry, I missed the lead in, and I thought there might be some, compared to last year's, I'll call it, I don't want to say if we were doing a flat budget, but the delta because of these
Sure.
insurance, I didn't know if that was encapsulated in one particular number.
It's not shown here, but the increase is $15 million over the 2014 budget for operating, and a decrease of $123 million for the capital budget, mostly due to projects that have been completed and closed.
Okay. But when you say 14 million, that's, I guess in terms of these, what I'm really trying to get at is the added health insurance and some of these other pensions, longevity, that number is 14 million itself, or is there some other things rolled into that 14 million?
In total, it includes mostly of those increases. Overall, operating budget for the cost of services to citizens is relatively flat.
How about the bonuses?
It's not in, the merit increases are included in the street special revenue fund.
But they're not in this.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but, I mean, just the, we're gonna do everything the same, quasi, as much the same as we could. Because of these incremental increases, we're up to 14 million more. plus or minus whatever, 10 or 20.
Sure.
And if
And
I'm
it
not
does,
mistaken, Sharika, in the earlier presentations, it was broken down to show those numbers, if I'm not mistaken. So in one of those early, I think the first presentation that we gave is more broken down for you, but we can,
Okay.
we can
No,
send
you
those
don't need to
numbers.
do it. I just want conceptually to get a figure of 481, 14%, 14 million of that is basically just incremental inflationary costs.
Because what you don't have is you don't have the addition of a bunch of people, you don't have a lot of new equipment. You basically have the same functions that we have last year, except for those mandatory increases that we had to deal with.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Specifically in the general fund, this outlines the summary of available funds. It shows steps up in fund balance, and we're looking at an estimated operating reserve at the end of 2015 of $10,091,200. And this brings me to the specific impact that existing legislation that's being proposed will have as far as an impact on reserve is concerned, and then also any potential legislation that would amend what's been presented and on that legislation agenda already for the budget. And this includes what's currently on the agenda is lump sum, and as it is presented, it will affect the fund balance and change it to 8.8 million for the end of 2015. If, as was discussed on yesterday, if the lump sum does not include airports or water and sewer, it would affect the ending reserves to $9.1 million. Pursuant to some of the discussions within the budget meetings, this shows the impact that covering the riverfront fund balance would have, which the riverfront fund balance currently at the end of 2015 is estimated at a negative 3.9 million. And having the general fund to cover this amount in total would change the estimated reserves in general fund to 6.1 million. And this is independent of the lump sum legislation. Any other legislation would impact it even further. Also, the Street Special Revenue Fund current estimated reserve is 1.7 million. And this includes merit raises and debt service for proposed improvement bonds. With the inclusion of the merit raises and debt service, fund balance would be 1.7 million. If neither are included, then the fund balance would be 7 million. Including one or the other would put the fund balance at 5.2 million. So this shows the impact of if any new legislation was proposed to make any adjustments to what is already included in the budget, this is how it would look.
Just so I'm clear on this. So we've got right now 2.2 million in the street special revenue fund. Now, 2.2 million in that street special revenue fund didn't get the allocation of 4.5 million because that went straight to the general fund, even though y'all haven't,
It hasn't physically been transferred.
it hadn't physically been turned. But when we see that 2.2, so then we're adding 6 million or so in estimated revenue for the special street special.
2015.
For 2015 franchise fees.
So that's where we're getting, or some number that gets us to 8 something, then you subtract. What am I subtracting for merit raises on this?
Merit raises is 3.5 million.
Okay, so, gotcha, that's why we're back down to 5.2, or debt service, 5.2, or both, 1.5. Gotcha.
Okay.
Because you're, well, let me ask one more thing. 6.5 is kind of what you're estimating for street special revenue for 2015?
Correct. The actual receipts in 2013 was 6.9.
Okay.
And excuse the, I'm not sure what happened when this PowerPoint was translated.
Stuff?
Okay. And these are the 2 budget meetings that we have remaining. We will cover the general fund and reserves, as well as finance, risk, debt service, the legal office, HR, IT on this upcoming Thursday. On Tuesday, we'll cover city courts, the marshal's office, the executive office, as well as the council office, with the final budget approval pending December the 9th during the regular council meeting.
Let me make this point of view. If we have anybody in the audience that would like to, if you have any specific questions, please attend these next 2 budget sessions, and that's why we kind of hammer out things at the budget sessions. So when we come before the council, we will have everything kind of finalized, because it's kind of hard to finalize something in a big public meeting like this. So please come to the 2 sessions that are left, and any questions that you might have that you'd like to ask about the budget, please come and ask them. And this is to this group in here and anybody in TV land. So thank you very much.
That concludes our presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from anybody now about the information that we just got in the public hearing? If not,
Wait, aren't you gonna ask for public, is that what you meant to ask?
Yeah,
Is there anyone that wanted to speak?
yeah, that's what I'm saying now. That's what I'm saying now. We have anybody that would like to speak? Okay. You want to speak further information for the budget? Or you want to speak in opposition? Good.
Kenneth Clampton, 157 Archer. Funny that the mayor would mention, and Mr. Shine would mention Michelangelo about Mr. Filial, because it was 500 years ago this month that the Pope asked him to paint the Sistine Chapel, but he was otherwise engaged on the Borgia tombs in Florence, so that took a few years, but just 500 years ago tomorrow.
There you see,
a year ago I forecast a 3.8% general fund increase. We went with 1, which is always wise. Budget revenues conservatively, expenditures liberally. Now we're in a solid position for next year with Bentler Steel and auto sales and other things coming on board. I think we'll meet those goals that are set. I think the only thing that might be a little low is 9315, the sub-object for internal engineering design fees, with the impending sale of the second part of the April 2nd 90-something million revenue bonds, general obligation. We should get probably 120,000 more than what's in the budget, but that's not significant. But I'm just going on the record. On the only thing with which I might disagree is I just don't think we've done quite enough to get the reserve maybe to 12 million. But of course, it's much better projected at the end of next year than it is at the end of this year. That's a step in the right direction, but it still represents only about a week of our expenditures. And the budget, the way I look at it, the operating budget is about 25 cents an hour per citizen, if you want to break it down. If you take all that money and divide it among our population, it's costing about 2 bits an hour to run the city per citizen. It kind of gives you some sort of a flavor for the overall thing. And then later, of course, we'll adopt the budget December 9th. And the other thing about the budget that kind of ties to another idea is I think the city charter needs to be tweaked technically in a few areas as it relates to the budget. That'll be the job of a new administration and a new council to have a charter review committee. We're way overdue on that. We haven't done it in years, and it really needs mostly technical changes and a couple substantive changes as it relates to the budget, but not for today's discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. B, did we get his name in?
And what, sir?
Did we get his name?
I know his name and his
Yes, sir.
address, so that's,
Okay, you got it?
His name and address.
Okay,
I think it's 157, but it might.
okay.
Kingsbury.
Oh, you say you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Is it anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the, in favor and in opposition of the budget? If so, please come forward.
Question on this. I didn't know you had already done this.
And again, I would like to extend an invitation to come to the budget hearings, and you can get a little bit more done, okay?
Mayor Glover, Mrs. Sibley, Chairman Shine, Councilman and our Councilwoman, Mrs. Rose Wilson McCullough. I'd just like to say
Give us
that
your name and.
Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud Street,
All right.
Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. I'm sorry, Miss B.
That's okay. She'd be fussing at me if you.
I know she will. Over the past several years, the MLK neighborhood has benefited greatly from such projects as NIP, Neighborhood Investment Programs, and things of that nature. However, we still are lacking with our streets and drainage systems. Our neighborhood have seen improvements given by our community residents with these kinds of services. So I would ask you to please consider shoring up and stabilizing and putting forward more efforts for our streets and drainage systems so that our citizens will feel that our taxes are going towards things that really benefit us. We do thank you for what we have had. One problem I had was with the civic appropriation. If you applied for NIP and applied for civic, you had to be reconsidered. And that was kind of detrimental for our organization on last year. So I'd ask you to reconsider that in parts of your ordinances and try to keep the community, because it is the community that pays a lot of these taxes. It is, you know, the citizens and the homeowners and our community. So I appreciate what you have put forward and hope that we can keep those monies there that help to keep our communities going forward. Thank you.
Ms. Rogers, I appreciate that. You and Ken both, I appreciate you all coming out and keeping your comments to 3 minutes. That's our policy. And Ms. Rogers, I want to commend you. You have worked extremely hard in your community over the last 10 years. I guess you started off as a schoolgirl because you're still looking so young and energetic now. And I just want to let you know that you've done an excellent job in working to improve the community in which you live. And again, God is blessing you.
Yes. To God be the
You're helping
glory.
those that need help. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Councilman Shine, if
Yes,
you would
ma'am.
allow me to, Ms. Rogers, I want to commend you also on your efforts and working within the MLK community. And I would like for you to, at your next meeting, to distribute this to your association so that your members will be familiar with all of the streets, all 12, that have been done throughout District A from 2010 to 2014. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor and opposition of the budget? If not, this public hearing is closed. We'll open the next one, Dale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This public hearing is regarding the city's intention to redirect $2.1 million of bond proceeds from Proposition Number 3 of the 2011 bond election intended for the Murphy Street Viaduct to other street and drainage improvements within the city. Mr. Robert Westerman will come present on behalf of the administration, and we would simply note that these monies are available because the state basically picked up the cost of that project, and the city can now use those funds for other matters. Thank you, Mr. Westerman.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, a little background information in that the Federal Highway Administration provides funds on a yearly basis for bridges in what they classify the off-system bridge program. These are bridges, excuse me, I beg your pardon. These are bridges that are not part of the state highway system. They are the responsibility of the local agencies to maintain and take care of these bridges. Each year, this funding is provided on a basis on bridges that are qualified for the off-system program. And bridges are worked out between the municipalities and the parishes in order to find out which bridges are selected for the program. We requested that Murphy Street be added to the off-system bridge program as a part of this funding practice, and it was selected and approved as a candidate for the structure. Normally, the replacement cost that they limit on bridge replacement is $1.5 million for individual bridges. This is why the Murphy Street Viaduct, the estimated cost was about $3.5 to $4 million. So the city requested that $2.2 million be allocated out of the 2011 general obligation bond issue for the purposes of supplementing the funding that was being provided with the all-system program. Because the state and the parish and the city were able to clear a backlog of bridges over the last couple of years, the excess funding from the last year's program and this year's program became available for new bridges. Unfortunately, no bridges were listed on the program as currently being ready for construction, and the state and the parish were subject to losing this funding. The city asked the state to consider the possibility of allowing full funding for the purposes of constructing Murphy Street Viaduct under this program, and therefore we don't lose that funding or it's not returned back to the federal government. The state and parish both agreed to provide the full funding for the construction, and as a result, the $2.2 million we had in the bond issue can now be released with the exception of $100,000. In accordance with the bridge replacement program, the local agency is required to provide detour routes, detour barricading, other issues associated with the construction of the bridge. So we are keeping $100,000 with our budget ordinance for this project to cover these ancillary costs. The remaining $2.1 million can be released to other projects that would qualify under the 2011 general obligation bond issue requirements.
Any questions from any council member?
Just a brief comment to say congratulations on the great work. This is a great use of resources, and you know, finding a partner to come in and you know, take some burden off of us when we have a lot of infrastructure needs is a great thing, so that we can reallocate this to other needs in our community. So good job.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
And Chairman Shawn, that concludes our presentation on behalf of the administration.
Okay, let me open it up to the public if anybody.
Hello, Robert. Just in case you got some questions to respond to.
Yeah, is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition or against any of the information that has been given? Okay, Ken, come forward, give us your name and your address, and you know we got a 3-minute time.
Kenneth Kraft, 157 Archer, 71105. It makes a lot of sense when funds become available unexpectedly, like the Nike commercial, just do it.
Okay, anybody else? If not,
Mr. Chairman?
yes, sir?
But before you officially declare it closed, I want to first of all start by expressing great appreciation to Robert Westerman, his predecessor, Ron Norwood, as well as their staff in the engineering department, because this is the kind of work that these individuals engage in on a daily basis that rarely ever makes it to these chambers, that rarely ever ends up being the subject of video cameras rolling, but it ends up being the kind of thing that results in substantial benefit to the city of Shreveport. This is something that had they just allowed things to just roll and go as they normally would have, the citizens of Shreveport never would have benefited from. But because they had the kind of mindset to be proactive and forward-looking, they found not only that we could manage to be able to get something from Baton Rouge, but it doesn't just start in Baton Rouge, it goes all the way up to our Uncle Sam in Washington, D.C. One of the few examples of us actually being in a position to see federal dollars come through the state of Louisiana that end up having the ability to be able to end up having specific direct benefit to the streets of the city of Shreveport. So I want to say to you, Robert, and to all your staff, thank you all for the work that you all have done in helping to make this happen. I know it was something that was mentioned more than a year or so ago, and I kept asking, have we gotten to that point yet where we can move forward and do this? And because they had to dot every I and cross every T and ultimately put us in a position that Governor Jindal didn't come in and snatch the carpet out from under us at the last minute because I said something that he didn't like or something, which we had to make sure that that didn't happen. Robert and his staff did all of their due diligence to be in a position to get us to this point. As a result, we've now got $2+ million that's available to be able to spend on a project or projects that will ultimately end up helping to benefit the streets of the city of Shreveport. So Robert, great work. Appreciate it much. Keep
On
it up.
behalf of my staff and myself, thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, if we have nobody else that would like to speak for or against, we're gonna close this public hearing. Mr. Sibley, excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Chairman?
yes.
If you wouldn't mind, since I know Robert and Stan and guys like Brian and others who are part of the transportation community They were all a part of this effort yesterday. The governor was supposed to pick me up on his way up from Baton Rouge, and we were going to take the helicopter on up to the state line, but he got held up in Baton Rouge, and so I ended up staying here in Shreveport. Turns out neither one of the governors made it, but we had a big event that took place yesterday here, something that I know that many folks have been talking about and working on for decades, and that is the ability to be able to get on an interstate in the city limits of Shreveport, or close to the city limits of Shreveport, and drive all the way up into Arkansas without having to get on any of these suicide roads, as I've heard folks refer to them over the years, where you're driving up Highway 3 over in Bossier or 71 here in Caddo Parish. Now you can get on at Highway 1 and drive straight on to Interstate 30 to Texarkana, and from there go anywhere else you want to go to, north, south, east, or west in this country. Now, that just didn't happen. It took several decades for us to get there. I want to make specific reference to several individuals. First, Al Kessler. He's no longer with us, but for folks who've been around a while, you know that Al Kessler was Mr. I-49. He came to Baton Rouge numerous times when I was in the legislature. I'm sure Ron lobbied you guys for support when you were on the parish commission. I know he came before the council over the years, and no doubt that Al is up in heaven smiling down with thanks and appreciation for finally getting this portion done. There's only 2 segments still left. And that's the section that will go from Highway 1 to MLK Drive, from MLK into 220. In addition, Tommy Clark, who was the first chairman of the I-49 funding task force that was appointed by Governor Mike Foster, I want to express thanks and appreciation for him. He's now still working in this area for the BHP Billiton folks, but at that time was with KCS. Bob Gorman was the chairman of the funding task force here locally for the majority of the time that I've been mayor of the city of Shreveport, and also one of my former colleagues in the state legislature, Billy Montgomery. Billy was brave enough to stand up and said, I-49 is so important that I'm willing to sponsor a tax to try and get it done. His willingness to do that resulted in not a new tax, but ultimately the utilization of the lost property fund that was leveraged in order to be able to come up with the dollars to do the last several segments. And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, I want to thank and express appreciation to Dale's former boss, the man who recruited him to Shreveport up from Leesville, his homeboy, fellow Vernon Parish native, our former Congressman Jim McQuarrie, who was responsible in one single earmark for a quarter of the total funding for the $800+ million in the construction cost for I-49 North, and that's Jim McQuarrie, a former congressman for the 4th Congressional District. We wouldn't be here today having a newly constructed I-49 were it not for his willingness to go to Washington, D.C., fight for his district, and bring back the resources necessary to help make it happen. So with that, thank you, Mr. Shine, and appreciate you giving me an opportunity to get that in.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. And we're told that Dale was with him when they went up. And Dale, we appreciate you. Okay. Mr. Thompson.
Ready for the
add-in legislation.
Legislation. There are 3 items, Mr. Chairman, for your consideration, for the council's consideration today. Resolution 215 is a resolution declaring November 2014 as Homelessness Awareness Month by Mr. Everson. Resolution 216 is a resolution suspending the effects of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to 578 Spring Lake Drive. This concerns the Piermont Oaks Tennis Center, and Mr. Oliver Jenkins may have some comments concerning this. And Ordinance 156 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances relative to planned unit developments and planned building groups. This is a project that Mr. Sweeney took on, I believe, after he got here. And if he's still here, he may have some comments on that. But these are items that can be added to the agenda today.
Before we add these items, do we have anyone who would like to speak in favor of these items? If not, do we have anyone who would like to speak in opposition of adding these items to the agenda? If not, I'll accept the motion at this time.
Moved. Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Jeff Everson, that we would add the above legislation to the agenda. Let's vote now, please.
sorry,
Mr. Sam, you wanna
Yes.
vote right on adding legislation to the agenda?
Yes.
Thank you.
Unanimous.
Because we have to have a solid, vote in order to add it. Was that?
Six.
You're right, 6-4. Okay,
Could I make a motion to suspend the rules so that we can consider,
I'll second that we would consider,
Resolution 215?
215.
it's been moved and second by the chair. Okay. Miss Simone Hennessy. Please.
Just want to invite you up and have you to share with us a little bit. This is Resolution 215 of 2014 is a resolution declaring November as Homelessness Awareness Month and to otherwise provide with respect there too. Before we, is it appropriate to go ahead and read the ordinance or? It's appropriate. I suppose I'll read it and then we'll provide an opportunity for you to speak on it right before we vote on it.
I'll tell you what we do. You read it, give us a motion, and we'll carry it through it, and we'll get to that point. We'll let Miss.
And then we'll let Simone speak.
There you go.
Good order. So the motion reads, whereas in America, a country filled with infinite promise, the continuing problem of homelessness is deeply disturbing. And whereas the most recent available data estimates that there are 610,042 people experiencing homelessness in the U.S. on any given night, and more than 1.6 million people spent at least one night in an emergency shelter or transitional housing over the last year. And whereas of the 610,042 people experiencing homelessness on any given night, 222,197 are people in families, and 387,845 of them are individuals. And whereas the current economic recession and foreclosure crisis exacerbate the problem of homelessness, and the number of homeless individuals is projected to increase by 2% over the next year as the lingering effects of the recession and constant budget cuts continue to aggravate deep poverty levels. And whereas an estimated 5,200 people experience homelessness each year in Northwest Louisiana, and whereas HUD's 2013 Continuum of Care on Homeless Population reported that 1,318 children are homeless in Louisiana, according to America's Youngest Outcasts, Louisiana ranks 48 out of 50 for the extent of child homelessness, and 46 when measuring the risk level for families of becoming homeless. And whereas in 2013 Providence House served 979 homeless people in 275 families, including 578 children and 287 adults, and could not serve 207 other families due to lack of resources and affordable housing. And whereas in Louisiana it takes a wage of $15 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom apartment or 2 full-time minimum wage jobs for an adult. And whereas adequate and permanent shelter is a basic need, and its absence has a deleterious effect upon physical condition and mental health, personal development, and the ability to exercise individual rights and obligations. And whereas ending homelessness is critical to the vitality of our community, and we must commit ourselves to understanding the causes of homelessness and how to best serve those in greatest need. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Shreveport in due regular and legal session convened that it hereby supports all efforts to end domestic violence in Shreveport and proclaims November 2014 as Homelessness Awareness Month. Be it further resolved that if any and then the rest of the legal language that's in there, but we certainly.
If I can get a motion from you,
I would like to move.
I'll second that. Now we're ready for questions or comments. But before we vote, go ahead on, Ms. Simone.
Oh, thank you very much, Mayor, Mr. Sibley, Chairman Shine, Jeff Everson, Councilman Rose, McCullough, and others. I appreciate you taking this time and bringing to the forefront the issues around homelessness as it relates to our community. And of course, November is Homeless Awareness Month. And Providence House also is celebrating our 25th year of service to this community as well. And you may not know this, but let me put a number out there, $861,000. That's what the city council has provided to Providence House to serve homeless families with children since 1994. $861,000 that has made a huge difference in our ability. I'd also like to recognize Bonnie Moore, my friend back here in community development, who really understands all the issues around poverty and homelessness. And through community development, I believe that we have been awarded close to $3.2 million that again has helped us serve some 15,000 homeless people in this community since I came on board at Providence House in 1992. And over 10,000 of those 15,000 are children. And we know one thing, that those children are going to grow up to be just like their parents, for good or for ill. And so our challenge is to continue to raise that awareness about the issues around homelessness, especially as it relates to families. Providence House started or at least I came in 1992, and we began with little money, about $115,000 to be exact. 3 employees, no program, and 25 families with children. Today, we are the largest residential development center for homeless families in the state of Louisiana. We serve now approximately 75 families with children every single day. We have a staff of 50 and a budget of $2.8 million. And of course, our goal is to look at long-term solutions to the issues of homelessness and to address the family structures and the challenges that they face. And this program was implemented in 1993, when a little bit after I came on board. Since that time, we've had 418 families graduate from this program, and that's over close to 1,000 children that have been impacted, and our success rate for that has been 92%. You have been a part of helping us do that over this long period of time. And even for the families that didn't finish this program, less than 10% returned, which is an indication that they had received enough support and enough services to remain independent. And for those who did return, 50% of those finished the program. But I think more important than all of these numbers is talking about families' lives. And we have a family that came to us last month. Her name was Marcia, and she had 2 preschool children. They moved into a house with no air conditioning and no running water, with the understanding that the landlord would have those items fixed. She also agreed with the landlord that she would paint the house if he would reduce her rent so it was a little bit more affordable. Well, I can tell you none of those things happened. And not only did none of those things happen, but then the landlord took her to court and had her evicted within 24 hours. And so we at Providence House provide not only that immediate safety net, but again, those long-term solutions. And I think what's important is to think it takes all of us to make this work. And Providence House is primarily supported with private dollars. And I think it's important to have some public support. But the government can't be the whole answer. I think the community has to be a part of the solution. And this community has been, and this council and this city has been a part of the solution. And I wanted not only to raise the awareness of homelessness this month, but also to give thanks to each of you who have made possible Providence House and serving families. And that's why we don't see all these families on the streets, because there's many of us out there working tirelessly to ensure that they're not on the streets. So thank you again.
Thank you. Let's vote at this time, if you have not. Did Oliver get a chance to?
Oh, no.
Oliver, did you get a chance to vote?
No, but I'd like to support it if I may.
Why don't you come on over and vote, and then you can run right back over there.
I got you.
Councilman Shine, can I
Yeah.
ask?
Thank you.
Did I understand you to say over a since 1992, $800,000 we've contributed to the Providence House, the city of
Through
Shreveport.
city council.
Since 1992?
Since 94 is when we received our first award from the city council.
I think it was at 860,000.
And so your yearly budget is 200,000, is that what you?
No, 2.8 million.
Oh, 2.8
8 million today.
Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
And, Rose, I guess I'm telling my age, but I was on the council who began this, because I was only about 15 then. But,
You hear how loud she laughed?
That was almost right to hold it.
That was almost insulting.
Wait a minute. I understand.
I mean, hold on a moment.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Go ahead again.
Well, Simone, I do want to just thank you, not only for all the efforts and the things that we've discussed already, but over and above just providing the excellent programs that Providence House does, you've also been part of a larger network,
Indeed.
To work with other organizations who have similar missions and goals, to come together under Hope Connections or under
Exactly.
Partnerships with the VOA, things like that. Community development's played a big role in that. And I just really appreciate the collaborative spirit of those people working to help our
Absolutely.
homeless populations. And being that it's Veterans Day, I just would briefly call attention to, the VOA and Hope Connections have set a goal to end veteran homelessness in our community by the end of 2015, and they're well on their way to reaching that goal. So, the community, not only is your organization an exceptional organization, but the community of which you're a part of is an exceptional community.
No question about it.
Who's doing great work together, and we just really appreciate y'all sharing your resources to have such a big impact.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thank you again, Simone.
Thank you.
Okay, public comments. Ms. Ruby Small. Please come forward. I'm sorry. We had public comments now, huh?
You an agenda item?
She just brought that up to me, tell me to bring that to you.
Miss Small,
That's now-
please come to the front, please. Okay, while Miss Small is coming, Miss Betty Bates, is Miss Bates here? Miss Bates, you coming up after Miss Small.
Oh, eight. I guess I'll make a motion to return to the regular session at this point.
Right, okay, it's been moved.
Okay, no, but, because I think everybody's a little.
Been moved and second that we would return to our regular
Second
agenda.
the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Councilman Everson did.
right.
Sorry.
Okay, Miss Small, give us your name and your address and tell us what you want to talk on.
Okay, I just want to say good evening, everybody. My name is Ruby Small, 3821 Crosby Street in Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. I just want to say I haven't been here a long time, but I used to be here very often. Mr. Shine, no, he remember. The main thing I want to talk about is the rezoning in our neighborhood that our neighbor have asked to do on Broadway and Crosby. The community is also, the streets is already crowded. I cannot see, we putting business at the end of the street and on the street of Crosby because it is overflowing with, street is congestion already. We have, school buses from the Moortown School. You can't hardly get on our street because we have so many people that have to park on the street. And if we put business in the neighborhood, I just can't see how we're gonna keep traffic, especially when we are in the neighborhood where the homes are.
Residential.
And they want to put business in that area. I have an autistic child. I would like to see him able to walk, the children to walk to school or to walk to the school bus. But if we putting business in the community, on the street that where our homes at, I cannot say that I agree to that. But I love the improvement that the family are talking about, which the young lady is in New Jersey. She have wrote me and asked me about things. I know I would like to say yes, but in my heart and the way things are in our neighborhood, it would be too congestion for that kind of service in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Ms. Small, let me ask you one. How close do you live to the zoning?
I stay in the 3800 block. The zoning is in the 4000 block, 4100 block, 4000 block. 2 or 3 blocks. So.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Small. Ms. Bates, please come forward, and I'm sorry I forgot to say it earlier. We have a policy of 3 minutes, and if you need a little bit extra time, someone up here will make a motion to give you more time.
Good afternoon, the mayor and the councilmen and women. My name is Betty Bates. I live at 3828 Crosby Street. And I'm against the rezoning our neighborhood. First, because we're a residential, family-oriented neighborhood, and we don't want any business to come into our neighborhood. Secondly, because Crosby is a street that is the only access to Jewella in the neighborhood, unless you go all the way to Hollywood and to 70th Street. And most people take the shortcut when they want to go to Jewella down. They come down Crosby. And our speed zone is 25, and most drivers don't adhere to that. And it will be worse, the conditions of our street will be worse if there are stores down the other end. Finally, the rezoning allows our neighborhood to change from family-oriented to business. And we have enough corner stores and gas stations, liquor stores, and all these things on Hollywood. And what concerns us about the rezoning is there's a part in there that says other uses permitted within this zoning classification. So there's more than just the little stores that she wants to put in our neighborhood once it's opened up. And we don't need or want any liquor stores, grocery stores, shopping centers, tire shops, or any other businesses within our neighborhood because of the safety for ourselves, for our senior citizens and our children and our young people. And once you open it to a business district, the traffic increases, the safety issues arises, and the noise level comes to. Thank you.
Ms. Bates, thank you so very much. Ms. Beatrice Mosley, please. And is Ms. Joyce Hinton here? Ms. Hinton, would you please start up to the front with you, and give us your name, your address, and your 3 minutes, and if you need more, then
I think I need that many.
you won't need, okay then.
Beatrice Mosley,
Yes,
4131 Powell Street, Shreveport, Louisiana,
Yes,
71109. As I said earlier, at the rezoning, I was against all of this, and I'm still against it. And I received a letter from Ms. Moselle the other week on October the 14th, and it was very disturbing to me because she said, I'm starting to take this personal, and that you are attacking me and one of the things that I'm meddling in her family affairs, but I'm not. I'm just voicing my opinion, how I feel, because I feel like we do not need this in the neighborhood. I don't have anything against her family. They're some nice people. I know them. But like to say, on Friday, coming down Hollywood Avenue, the liquor stores over there on Broadway and Hollywood, you can't hardly get down here because of the liquor store. The red light holding the peoples up. You're almost having wrecks. So we don't need this. We got liquor store, barber shop, everything all up and down Hollywood. So, you know, I think it's other places they can move their business to besides out in Moortown area. You know, because in the area where we at, it's just too small for that, for what all she want to have there. I don't have anything against her coming here to be with her mother because of her illness, because if my mother was living and I wanted to come home, I find a way to come home, whether it was a business or not.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms.
I have a
Mosley.
question, Councilman Shine.
Yeah.
What kind of business is this we're talking about?
This is a beauty shop.
A beauty salon?
No, it's beauty shop, barber shop, parking lot, restaurant, stores, and a business for her mother, you know, it's a lot of different things.
So is that
Let
gonna
me,
be in
hold on. Let me say this. We will have somebody that will be coming up in a few minutes that will be speaking for this, and
Giving
then
a
they can give you
description.
what they got the zoning for.
Okay.
Ms. Mosley, thank you here. Okay. Ms. Joyce, please.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Hinton. I live at 4016 Crosby Street. A little bit nervous. I'm against the business because that's what they're talking. All those empty fields are right in front of my house. The street is narrow. There's nowhere to park. And then also on the business area, it's going to bring our property level down. We're already in a neighborhood that's overcrowded, more crime, and more businesses, more crime. We're on a nice, even street. Everything is nice. Everybody know each other. We don't need businesses on that little small end of the zone. I'm against it for the noise value. I don't want to have to ask people, don't park in my driveway, don't block the driveway. And I'm just against change in our neighborhood for business-wise. And then also, businesses bring proper level down in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Miss. Okay, Miss Deborah Vance. And Ms. Vance, I want to tell you the same thing. We have 3 minutes, and if you need some more, somebody will make a motion to give it to you. But give us your name and address and what you're speaking on.
Okay, my name is Gloria Hogan, and my address is 4042 Crosby Street, and I'm here for Deborah Vance, Moselle.
Okay.
And I think we should have the business in the neighborhood because we need to improve the neighborhood to bring jobs to people's, they can have jobs, and the things we plan on building, like a beauty and barber shop, and have a little thrifty store, like a little thrift store, and a little ice cream stand, that's all.
Okay, anybody have any questions they want to ask? Now,
This is who I'm,
yeah, this is the lady.
Mhm.
She's representing the lady.
So the different businesses that are attached to this zoning, are these gonna come in phases or all at one time? I mean, are we talking about streets with no sidewalks? I'm hearing congestion on the street. Do y'all have sidewalks? Yeah, we have sidewalks, ma'am, on the place where the business is gonna be. It's gonna have sidewalk, and we're gonna have a parking space too for it.
But the street itself, there are no sidewalks currently existing on the
On
block.
Crossford is not a sidewalk, but on Broadway where the business is gonna be sidewalks. So you're talking about bringing them all in at one time instead of in phases? Yes, ma'am. All at one time? Your restaurant, your beauty shop, your barber shop, and what else? And a thrift store, but it's not gonna be a restaurant, it's just gonna be like a ice cream
Stand.
parlor, yeah, like that. It's gonna be all together though, in one building. Okay.
All right, Councilman Jenkins.
Right, and now, I've got Google Maps up in front of me and I got the map. But it appears to me on the northeast corner of Crosby and Broadway, there is a small, looks like a house on a lot. Then there's an empty lot where y'all are rezoning to B1, right, is what you're proposing.
Okay, the empty lot that we have for parking, that what you talking about right beside the house, we're changing the parking.
Okay, but what I'm really asking is, so somebody lives in that house right there on the corner, right?
Right.
And so, in between that and the neighbor's house, there's gonna be a parking lot in there?
No, we're gonna change
I
that,
think
sir.
they're talking
We're
about the
gonna
parking
change
lot
that.
across the street.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's-
change.
That's what I'm saying on this
Yes,
map
across
right
the
here. I mean, I don't know how to do this. You got the empty lot on the southeast corner. That's what you're moving to B2, or at least that's what's being proposed.
We're gonna change it, sir.
You're gonna change it?
We're gonna change the parking lot to across the street from where we originally put it.
So
Okay.
in that narrow one between the two houses, what's going in there?
It's not gonna be anything in there, sir.
So you don't need the zoning from R1 to B1?
No, sir, we're gonna change that's what this is, the parking lot we're just gonna change. The parking lot was there where the house was, but we're gonna move it.
Let me say this, I'm gonna, because I want the other people to come up and speak, but I'm gonna move to remand this back to the MPC. There are still some problems that needs to be.
Okay, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, because I mean, I don't want to get involved in, but
Right.
I'm trying to look at it on this map here, I don't even understand how it's gonna work out, so.
Right, well, I'm gonna move to remand it back to the MPC, but I just, since everybody was down here today, I wanted them to speak. All right, if y'all have any more questions for, okay, if not, Mr. James, we thank you here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. James Bush. I saw somebody else back there who raised their hand. Do I have a slip for you? Tell me your name. Philip? Coming up next, Philip. You want to come on around to the front? Okay.
Mayor, council members, Shine. My name is James Bush. I live at 7057 Bosworth Road in Shreveport, 71107. My brother and I own the property right behind where she wants to put the business at 4056 Mayfield. I am in the process of redoing the house there. That was my mom's house, the house that I was raised up in. The streets are narrow. Mayfield and across the street are real narrow. You can't hardly get by them now. Broadway is paved. It has a sidewalk on it. But if you put that many businesses there, how are you going to get up in there for a parking lot? You don't have the sufficient parking there to have those businesses in there. I'm against that because of that. There's other lots on Hollywood, different places that have the space or have some buildings that they can put in any type of building that you want to put there. But that's right in a neighborhood there. And no business is on Broadway from Miles Street all the way down to the end of Broadway where it runs out. It's all neighborhood, and I would like for it to still be there. The house that my brother and I own, my family, it's a family house, and we want to keep it that way, and I'm doing a lot of work to make sure that it's up to standard with the city and everything that's going on with it.
Mr. Phillips, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for him? If not, okay. Please come forward and give us your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes, and if you need more, someone will move to give you some more.
Philip Gaston, 40, think about my old neighborhood address. 6226 Border Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71119. I'm here to speak against the project that the young lady want to endure on Crosby and Mayfield area. First of all, the lots are 40-foot lots, and there's not enough to put a business on that property and to do with a parking lot that would be big enough for that many businesses that she want to put on there. A barber shop would take up all the parking there by itself. So, and one other thing, you know, these ladies are elderly ladies. They're afraid, and this
all except Miss Ruby Small. Now, Miss Ruby Small is not an elderly lady. Small, I just want to say that in your behalf. She's not an elderly lady.
Letter that they sent out.
Okay.
You got them afraid. You want to read it?
No, I don't need to read it. That's not.
But anyway, you got them upset and they're scared. You know, people write a letter out like this and send it out to you. It's something, you know, that ain't business like.
Is this the letter you're referencing, sir? This is the letter?
Yes, ma'am.
we don't, let me say this, personal things like that, we don't.
I know, but
we're not gonna
I'm
get
talking
in-
about the character, that's what I'm talking about.
I know, but we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
We gonna get into the laws that regulates
I
zoning.
understand.
Now, I don't even want us to start doing that.
No, I know,
because if we
but
start doing that today, somebody
You
else.
see
is
the
gonna
whole picture when you're
come-
making a judgment, God, they help you make a better judgment.
I know, but we're not making that kind of judgment where we make judgments on people's character. We making judgments on the quality of the zoning, and we appreciate you coming down here and saying that, and let me say this to you. I'm gonna make a motion to remand this whole case back to the MPC, where they deal with this.
Okay.
And the MPC will send you a notice out. It might be 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 5 months from now, whatever, that they will take another look at this and hear it, and those are the people who actually will look at this. But still, now they're not going to be looking at people's character.
I understand.
We don't want to get into that. We don't do that down here. Now, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this rezoning that I might not have oh, I thought the young lady back there was getting up to come in. If not, Mr. Thompson, we're gonna move back into the agenda. Now, we do have a couple other.
Suspend the rules and take it up now?
Well, if you want, if it's all right, let's suspend the rules and we'll take this case up right now.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by the chair, second by Councilman.
We taking up ordinance 137, zoning appeal, C-72-14.
Yes, sir.
The southeast corner of Broadway and Crosby, and the north side of Crosby Street, 60 feet east of Broadway, from R1H, Urban One Family Residence District, to B1 Public Business District, and B2 Neighborhood Business District.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna move that we remand this back to the MPC at this time. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by the chair, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, that we would remand this back to the MPC. This case has been remanded back to the MPC by a 6-0 vote. Any questions or discussion on this? If not, Mr. Thompson, let's move into confirmation of appointments.
We have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Sibley, do y'all have anything you want to say on the confirmation of appointment?
We have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we are now to consent agenda legislation. We have Resolution 210. It authorizes 1584 Leonard Road to connect to the water and sewer system of the city.
What's the pleasure, council?
All right, stand by a second here. Is that the mayor's? I'll make that motion for Councilman Corbin.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins. Any questions or discussion? If not, let's vote. All right, this piece of legislation passes with a 6 vote, 1 out of the chamber.
Mr. Chairman, we're now into regular agenda legislation, Resolution 208. It was a subject
I'm
of...
sorry. Let me stop right here. I believe we have one other person that want to speak about a piece of legislation that's on the agenda today. Where's Mr. Marvin P. Muhammad? Is Mr. Muhammad here? Marvin, please state your name, your address. You have 3 minutes. At that time, if you need some more, someone up here, Ms. McCullough, will move to give you some extra time.
Okay. Yes, sir. Marvin Muhammad, 1413 Clay Street. And I thank you for that extra 3 minutes if necessary because...
Let me just say this. Ms. Deborah, you all's case have been remanded back to the MPC. You all are welcome to stay. If you want to, you can leave. Okay, thank you all. Okay. Marvin?
Oh, as I was saying, I want to thank you, but might be okay, although I have been charged with being a frustrated Baptist preacher every now and then, so I try to keep it short and succinct as possible. I did want to come and speak on Resolution 211. That is the $74 million revenue bond proposal that the administration is proposing to help alleviate what I consider a very bad situation that we have in the city of Shreveport. A recent poll, I believe, that was done said that I believe 28% of those who was polled said that streets was the #1 concern. So I'm here because I feel like this council, despite previous attempts by the administration and some members of the council, and let me say this before I go too far on what I want to say. I want to commend the administration because some would say, well, the mayor's term is almost up, but the truth of the matter is that the mayor and the members of the city council they are not elected for 3 years and 10 months, or 3 years and 9 months, or even 3 years and 11 months. They are elected for 4 years to govern, to move the city forward. And so I want to remind the council of that you are here till the duration of your term, and it is not a vacation at the in the latter days. First, I want to say, what is streets? And I usually don't like to write things down, but I found the definition that I was very fond of. It says a street is a public thoroughfare, usually paved in a built environment. It's a public parcel of land adjoining buildings in an urban context in which people may freely assemble, interact, and move about. The key word here is a built environment. Unfortunately, in certain parts of the city of Shreveport, mainly MLK, Allendale, Queensboro, City Grove, Hollywood, these environments are not built. And so they also listed several, if you will, reasons for streets. Those were to facilitate public interaction, commerce, travel, and vehicle parking. We just heard residents of the Moortown community expressing their concern with rezoning that would cause some of those problems. I would say to this council to act accordingly, and I'm going to ask for 3 minutes, three more minutes, which I'll probably just take 90 seconds, Councilman Shine.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman McCullough, second by Councilman Jeff Everson.
Thank you, sir.
We'd extend you 3 more minutes.
And I would say, because I have heard many things, I've heard that this would create debt for the city of Shreveport. Why? I tend to beg to differ. I believe with $525 million worth of capital improvements that's going to be that's taking place now until the next decade. I like to take some of the words that City Councilman Sam Jenkins made during this mayor campaign. He used the term rehabilitation. So we have a $350 million rehabilitation for our infrastructure, and I think we'll be remiss to tackle our sewage problem without at the same time and simultaneously attacking our street problem. I think it would be wise for us to start that process. This $74 million is in truth just merely a drop in the bucket. And when you look at the fact that when you look at the street revenue fund, these monies now can be leveraged. So the monies are there. What I believe that the administration is doing is asking for us to really borrow off what we know that we're gonna get and use that street revenue fund. I believe they're saying 50%. So the money is there, the payments can be made, so it's really not creating more debt. You know, I'm not the brightest man in the room, I'm not the smartest man in the room, but what I do see is that a lot of the citizens in the city of Shreveport want more streets. Thank you, Councilman Shine.
Okay, Mr. Irma Rogers. I'm sorry, just 1 minute. Did anybody have any questions for him? If not, Ms. Rogers, please.
Thank you, my brother Muhammad.
Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. To the council and administration again, I would have addressed
Ms. Rogers,
this.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Got a policy, 3 minutes. Give us your name, and if you need some more, someone up here will make a motion to give you some extra time.
I think I can do it in 3.
Okay.
I addressed this council in February, I think it was February 25th of this year, 2014. I brought approximately 125 slides of the streets and drainage issues in the MLK area. On those slides, you can see a 6-inch drop-off as measured by some of your department people here in the Public Works, 4 inches on LaGuardia, 6 inches on David Rains, 4 to 6 inches on Audrey Lane, Russell Road, from the end of Gain Street to Hillary Huckabee. So the streets is a very important issue in my area, along with drainage systems. When I looked at the list that Councilwoman McCullough just gave me, I went back and I noticed Audrey Lane, the overlay was done in 1994. That's 20 years ago. And I checked Lanier Street. Probably why we're having so many problems, if you look at the cost per linear foot, which is $355, that was done from Lanier, from MLK to Jameson, and you look at that. Audrey Lane was only done from MLK to A-Line Street, so the portion that is really in need of concrete and not asphalt is near Green Oaks High School. That portion has not ever been overlaid with concrete or dug up and redone in the way that it should have been done. So I want to address this issue for our area because I know in the master plan from the meetings that I attended, it was put in that this administration and the city would address the concrete streets before they did asphalts. But I'd like for you to reconsider that, and please reconsider this bond issue. It would give much needed funding to our area. We've been annexed since 1976, 77, 78, according to your books. Portions of it was annexed when I came in February. I gave you that information. But we are not getting the benefits of our tax dollars. So that's why I'm here urging you to please pass this. We need some help in our area. If you drive the streets, you'll understand what a 4 to 6 inch drop off is in one area. People drive closer to the sidewalk to avoid those spaces. So I did want to say that before I left. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Yeah.
Shine, before Ms. Rogers leaves, Ms. Rogers, for the record and for you to take back to the association, coming from their representative, just let them know that I have supported 3 different proposals to do an overall fix-it program. 100 million, 75 million, and today 74 million. I have supported that proposal because I'm hearing your cries, I understand what you're saying, but we just need the votes up here at this council to do it. It's not that your representative is not pushing and fighting to get it done. You need the votes to get it done. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Okay. Reverend Lennox Mays, please state your name and your...
Esther Mays, 335 East Dalzell, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104.
More than 3 minutes.
Yes, sir, thank you. 71104, Shreveport, Louisiana. In the book of James, it says, in the 4th chapter, in the 17th verse, it says, when good men do nothing, evil prevails. Mayor Glover has proposed to this council $74 million in regards to our streets, which the taxpayers of the city has a right to have their streets fixed. It is sad to me that there are some members of this council who live in some of the worst districts. Our chairman, streets in that district is worse, infrastructure in that district is worse, and it was seen to me that these people who say that they have the heart of the people in their best interest will say, well, look at here, let's compromise and get this stuff done because we are here to serve the people. But when you're only here for self-service, rather than to serve the people, then your thoughts become, what I need to do is what's best for me. So I say to those that will no longer be here, goodbye. It's a new day. We need individuals that's going to come forth. And Jeff, I'm glad that you voted. I'm glad, Rose, that you voted, and some of the other voted, to move this city forward. And we need people like that. Now, I don't get caught up in the white and black issue. I get caught up in who is the best man for the job. Dr. Martin Luther King said, don't judge a man by the color of his skin, but by the contents of his character. So when these people just left from up here, they was kind of mad. They said, you mean to tell me we that live in the neighborhood come before this podium and the person that represent us say what he said a few minutes ago to them, pass it on to the MPC? It is important for these people to come and voice their concerns. But when you got politicians who politic, they pass the agenda on to someone else. So that's what's been happening here lately. It's all about passing it on to someone else because we don't want to deal with you or your agenda. So I'm saddened by it because you're public servants and you have a fiduciary responsibility regardless of what your opinion may be to move the city forward. That's why people are fed up with politics. It's not Republicans, Democrats. People are fed up with politicians because we're trying to find the right people to get in the job that's going to do the work, whether it be white, black, Chinese, whatever. And when you lose the moral compass of who you is as a person and who you're representing, then you got a problem. And that's why I'm glad to say and stand here today to say that we need people here that's going to move this city forward and not people that's going to play partisan politics or anything else. So my time is expired, and we don't need this to be a bully pulpit. People want to come down here and feel comfortable. Can I get some extra minutes? Thank you, Jeff. Some extra minutes. But I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to move on because I haven't been coming down here lately because it concerns me, Mayor Glover, that you have presented this over and over and over and over again. And some of these same people that say, we are concerned about the city as a whole. And then when it's time to vote on these things, they say, you know what, we're going to vote it down. Because our true intentions is to get those people elected and hold up the process of the city so that we can get the people elected that we feel best to get elected to move the city forward. Well, when the people elect you, they elected you to do a job. And so you owe the citizens of this city to make sure you do the best job possible. And that's why when they left out of this room, they say, you've been in Moortown for a mighty long time, raised up on Snowden Drive. Say, everybody over there know you. That's why they was hugging me on the way out. They said, you mean this the kind of crap that you've been talking about? I said, yeah. I say, so it's not a black folks problem. It's not a white folks problem. It's just we getting the wrong people. And so we need to do a better message. We need to do better by getting our message out to the people, to let them know exactly what's going on. So that's why I'm down here. And that's why I'm going to continue to come down here. And I'm going to give you some of the time back. That's why I'm going to continue to come down here to let people know what's going on and how the process is being held up and how streets and drainage and infrastructure within our communities are not going to be moving forward because of partisan politics with individuals that want who in office, who they want in office, so that they can take the credit. So, Joe Shine, we have had several meetings, sit-down meetings with individuals that you, at the Holiday Inn, that you, Councilman Shine, want to elect in office. I was your friend at one time, but when I correct you, I'm no longer your friend. So you can look at the clock. My time is still got time. So let me say this to you. Sir, anytime you have to put your personal morale on the line, as you as a person, in order to hold up the city of Shreveport from moving stuff forward, it's a sad day for the citizens of this city, for a long-time councilman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pastor. I'm glad to be alive during this sad time. Okay, Ken, please.
Kenneth Kraft, 157 Archer, still 71105. That ought to only have to be required once for a meeting. Y'all ought to change your rules. That's silly. 32 years ago, I asked Robert Westerman, a young civil engineer, third floor of the old City Hall at 1234 Texas, as a newly appointed capital budget improvements director, what the greatest need was in engineering. And he said, Ken, we got 182 miles of all dirt streets. Long story short, we did something about it, got candidate District D, John Hussey, to embrace it, got him elected, and got rid of him. Great progress. Here we are today. The greatest problem is, like Mr. Muhammad said, Miss Rogers, Reverend Mays. I took the bus tour Friday, March 21st, if I remember, and I'm sure I do. And LaGuardia, Jackie Robinson wasn't mentioned. It was about a 4.2. I had a 6-inch ruler. How appropriate for a 4.2-inch separation for number 42. We've got to do something. This is the 4th or 5th iteration on the streets. 4 years ago on the Citizens 2010 Capital Improvements Budget Committee, we were fortunate at the end, with help from the council and the committee, to add $21 million to put in front of the voters. There was some concern that people won't approve it. Well, they did. Over 60% for the streets proposition and the water and sewer. I'm the type of person who tries to do what's right. That's why 2 years ago at National Night Out at 139 Archer, I told the chiefs of police and fire, gentlemen, we got a serious problem. We're going to be 11 million short next year, meaning in 2013. What do they mean? Talk to this gentleman by cell phone, and I think the city just dropped the ball, but we got the resolution approved. We went to the bond commission. We got the quarter-cent sales tax renewed. That was almost a major goof-up, which we avoided. Right now, we're about to make a major goof-up if we don't approve this. It's not quite like losing a quarter-cent existing sales tax, but it is an opportunity with great market rates, a great opportunity during which time we can move forward. If you want to kick the can down the road yet again, that's fine, but I think that can has been kicked enough. It's got all kind of dents in it, and the streets aren't getting any better. We'll have a few lousy months, of weather, but come around late March, early April of 15, if we can get this thing approved soon, if not today, maybe in 2 weeks, but I don't see the downside of waiting, and if anybody wants to talk, if anybody who's against it can give me a reason why it should wait, other than opposition to the outgoing mayor, please let me know, because I can't think of an engineering or a financial reason. I don't want more time. Thank you.
Okay, Ken, I don't generally do this, but if you pull the records, I came on the council in 1982. That's all we had out in our area was all dirt streets.
I had plenty.
And if you go check them now, you don't have any there. I'm one council member that have been on the council basically during that time. Councilman, the late Hillary Huckabee, I almost said the late Larry Ferdinand, but Ferdinand would kill me if I said the late Ferdinand, and Joe Shine, along with John Hussey. John Hussey gave his approval, but the program was not initiated by John Hussey. I just want to make sure that you get your. Let me finish now.
He signed off.
You get your facts right.
All right.
That program was initiated by the three of us because those all dirt streets was in our neighborhood. We don't have any of those now. We have concrete streets and asphalt streets. So you have had somebody who didn't just kick the can down the road. We did something about the can. You have it was 128 miles of all dirt streets. You don't have any of those now in the city of Shreveport. At that time, the Cooper Road was not really annexed into the city of Shreveport. Hollywood, Moortown, Cedar Grove, all those areas, even Stony Hill had all dirt streets. So I don't want you to think that nobody has done anything about bad streets in this city, because the late Hillary Huckabee, Larry Ferdinand, and Joe Shine, along with John Hussey and the other council members that was on the council at that particular time, Tom Arsenault and others. We did. Ken, I appreciate it, and we're gonna move on. At this particular point, I would make a motion, Mr. Thompson, that we would bring 211 up at this time to be voted on. So I can get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we will, by the chair, been seconded by Councilman Howard Jenkins, that we would bring 211 up at this time. I'll make the motion that we...
I'm sorry, I need Mr. Oliver Jenkins, Mr. Sam Jenkins.
This is to bring it up.
Yeah, this is to bring it up.
Thank you.
All right. I will make the motion that we will vote on so move for 211. It's been moved by the chair, second by Councilman Rose McCullough.
Mr. Shine?
Yes, sir.
This is for discussion, for final passage?
This is
or
for the
is
vote
for-
on it. This is...
That's what I'm saying, this is for
Right.
vote on it, up or
Right.
down at this point?
Right, we're gonna vote, yes.
Okay, I'd like to have some discussion.
Please, okay.
Council members, I think a couple of relevant points. One that Marvin Muhammad offered, and that is for those who ask why we continue to advance this issue. We're here to address the issues of the city of Shreveport until the very last day, the very last hour, the very last minute that we are mayor of the city of Shreveport. As was also pointed out, and it's odd when you look at the city of Shreveport in comparison to Baton Rouge or New Orleans or similar cities. If you take a poll and ask what the #1 concern and challenge and issue of the citizens of that city would be, for most of those communities, they would cite public safety. Here in the city of Shreveport, public safety in that poll came some 8 percentage points behind the streets. That says a couple of things, potentially. It either says that we're doing a pretty decent job of addressing crime, or it could mean that our streets are in such deplorable condition that it manages to be able to push the consideration of public safety 8 percentage points behind the level of priority that people place on the streets of the city of Shreveport. I tend to believe that collectively as a city, we're doing a pretty decent job of addressing crime, but at the same time, we have some awful street problems. A $500 million set of street problems. A set of street problems that won't fix themselves, as you've heard me say before. And so we're going to continue to push and to press this issue because we believe it is of great importance. I also want to offer a point of insight based upon the exchange that you just saw there between Chairman Shine and Ken Krepp. Councilman Shine is absolutely correct when he says that throughout the early 80s that the city of Shreveport took on a concerted effort to address the oil and dirt street challenges that the city of Shreveport faced at that time. Now, what's not added or referenced is that the main mechanism by which that problem was addressed, Councilman Sam Jenkins, Councilman Oliver Jenkins, and Councilman Everson, and Councilman Webb, and Councilwoman McCullough, is not by the city's general fund. It was not necessarily by the city's general obligation bond, but by the fact that in that time frame, the city of Shreveport had a community block development grant annual award that was over $4 million per year, more than 30 years ago. $4 million per year, 30 years ago. The city's 2014 community block development grant award is $1.5 million in 2014 dollars. That 1.5 million in 1982 wouldn't have even been $1 million. That 4 million in 1982 in 2014 would be somewhere near $15 million in annual community block development grant dollars that came to the city of Shreveport that was specifically used to target the infrastructure problems that exist within the targeted neighborhoods. We don't have those dollars available to us anymore. And so while, yes, it is commendable that Councilman Shine and all the other leaders who were in place at that time directed those dollars towards addressing those oil and dirt streets within those neighborhoods, it's also the appropriate thing to do. But those resources coming from our dear Uncle Sam aren't available here in the city of Shreveport. They don't come from Washington, D.C. anymore. And so the problem and the challenge that we have here right now from an infrastructure standpoint is one that we have to address ourselves. We saw here today the one rare instance where we end up with an opportunity for federal dollars to end up making its way to the city of Shreveport for us to use on our streets. That's only $2 million. But that's $2 million on a $500 million problem. And that's only because the state didn't have any other projects available to be able to go out and utilize those dollars for. And so I'm offering here again today, guys, we've got to figure out a way to take on this problem. We started with a scenario that pledged 100% of this special street revenue fund that we got from increasing the franchise taxes that would have given us $100 million. We tried that 3 times. Council voted it down 3 times. So we've come back with a compromised approach in line with some of the concerns that have been expressed by council members that said, well, we don't want to end up pledging 100% because we may need a portion of those dollars to utilize for the reserve or some other purpose. And so this scenario of this $74 million, the previous scenario of $65 million, the one before that of $75 million, only uses a half of the funding in order to be able to allow us to be able to have those dollars available in case they are potentially needed for other purposes. But it also gives us a very large sum of dollars to be able to go out and start down the road to addressing a $500 million problem. A problem that will only get bigger and more costly as we go forward. A problem that our citizens have clearly identified as their number one concern and the number one challenge that faces the city of Shreveport. And so while, yes, it's great to take great pride on all of the elimination of the oil and dirt streets that took place during the 1980s, but that's an accomplishment that was greatly assisted by the federal government through our community block development grant dollars. That same federal government sends us $1.5 million in 2014 dollars that are utilized to address issues like the homelessness and other programs like the one that Simone Hennessy was up here talking about today. Very few of those dollars available to go towards street repair. And even if they are directed, it ends up being a very small amount in comparison to what the need is. So council members, we're asking, citizens across this city are asking for us to do something about the streets of the city. They're asking that we do something about the streets of the city. And I understand.
Please, we can't run a legal meeting with people screaming in the back. You don't do this when you go to court. Just hold your remarks. We'll have a chance for you to say something at the end of the meeting. We appreciate that, but you can't do that back there. Come on, let's act sensible.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Question, are you through, Mr. Mayor?
I yield, because at this point.
I was going to ask you, you made a comment a second ago, that's only half of it. You're talking about half of the 5%.
Half of the revenue, the additional revenue that comes to the street special revenue fund.
Okay.
This approach takes half of that to pledge towards revenue bonds to go out and do street work.
Okay.
Which leaves us the other half to do whatever it is that the city may be inclined to do. It doesn't lock it up, and it addresses the folks who say, well, what if we need some additional money for the reserve or what have you.
Okay.
All right, I'm asked the council for a vote at this point, and If you have any more discussions, we can do it at the end of the meeting. Okay, it's a new piece of legislation. Mr. Clerk, I'm gonna ask us to move back into our regular agenda.
We'll see you at 2012 at the next meeting.
Please.
Yeah. We're now under resolutions on second
Resolution
reading and final
2012
passage,
at the next meeting.
of which will only require one reading. The first is 208. It was the subject of a public hearing. It states the city of Shreveport's intention to redirect $2,100,000 of bond proceeds from proposition number
So
3.
moved.
Second. Stand by a second.
Chairperson, could I see how that vote just went on that resolution that we just voted on?
That was a 3-3 vote with, I believe, the three of us voting for, and then Chairman Shine and the two gentlemen on the left side voting against.
It would be the left versus the right.
The three of us voted for it.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, and so now I think we are at, has everybody voted on 208?
All right, so
Or is there discussion?
no discussion. Well, that's the Murphy Street
Correct.
Correct. Okay, looks like we've got unanimous on that. And Dee, did you get the second on that? I can't remember who seconded.
I'm sorry, I did not.
I did second on it.
Great. Okay, Art?
Yes. Did you call the vote?
I did, yes, unanimous.
Okay. Resolution 208 ratifies the use of certain equipment by Mount Olive Baptist Church.
I think that's resolution 209.
209, I'm
I'll
sorry.
make that motion.
And second.
Thanks for the correction.
Kind of team I play on.
Who seconded the motion? Thank you.
Unanimous vote to approve 209.
211 and 215 have already been voted on. Resolution 216, a resolution suspending the effects of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City of Shreveport's Code of Ordinances relative to 578 Spring Lake Drive and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. It concerns Piermont Oaks Tennis Center.
So moved.
Second.
And just to let y'all know, it's an issue, they did pay their permitting fees. There's some administrative as well as some historical issues that are trying to be worked out. It's a lengthy description if you're interested, but substantively, they've had an alcohol permit there for 48 plus years. And in the process of both by selling their property to East Ridge, being under their umbrella, there are some things that have been recognized as somewhat askew in terms of historical permits and how they got it and what ordinances were in play when they got their permit. And so this is to give them essentially a month administratively to reconvene in front of the ZBA and rectify those, as well as the actual permitting paperwork.
Who seconded the motion, sir?
I did.
Thank you.
And any more discussion, or we're ready for a vote?
Ms. McCullough?
And that's a unanimous passage.
We're now in the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to November the 24th, I guess, 2014.
Yes. Interrogative. Have we resolved ourselves whether we're doing the Monday and Tuesday council meeting?
We polled the council members, and we had 4 or more who agreed to change the date. This council could always do a motion to change it back or to affirm the date as it was previously. One of the things that Ms. Glass has been looking at some of the issues that could not be adopted having to do with the pay raise, and because Mr. Webb had pay raise ordinances on there already, I believe they could be brought up and it could be adopted on the next meeting on the Monday, if we meet on a Monday. So those issues, I think, can be resolved if the council and the administration wants to do it that way. I don't know if there are other items on the agenda that would, you would need to get adopted before that time or not, but
I don't think so.
Mr. Vice Chair, we based the proposed lump sum payment legislation on Mr. Webb's legislation, in recognizing that he had taken the lead on that effort. And so the idea of being able to take that measure, because we would have considered him to be the author of what has been submitted at this point, certainly taking what is already on the table and effectively amending it with the provisions that we have submitted for introduction at this point is something that we would certainly be open and supportive of if it meets with the council's approval as well.
Well, certainly based on yesterday's conversation, the only reason we were changing it back to the other dates was for this particular piece of legislation.
Timing in place.
So if we don't need to do that, then my proposal is to go with the Friday, Monday that we had always previously.
Do the pay legislation on that Monday? We can do it on that Monday.
Well,
by using Mr. Webb's.
By using his, and then just make an amendment to his.
Would it be possible to take this off the table today and then vote on it now?
It is technically possible. I don't know if there are any changes to it or.
We need to offer some amendments, Mr. Webb.
No, I have not.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm saying they have to be in writing, so we would want time to do that.
Okay.
We have to change the language.
Okay.
Right. But if it can be voted on at that adjusted meeting, we're fine. It achieves the same purpose.
Okay.
Okay, sorry to, but before we mention when we're approving it for, I want to make sure we're clear on when are, okay, thank you.
Resolution 212 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the city of Shreveport and the parish of Caddo, and acting through Dr. Woodrow Wilson Jr., the manager for the private water main extensions and related facilities to serve Maggie Lane. Resolution 213 authorizes the Shreveport Police Department to accept a donation of $14,500 from the Shreveport Police K-9 Citizen Support Group for the purchase of a new police dog and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. And Resolution 214 amends the pay plan for general classified employees to provide a one-time lump sum pay increase and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
So moved on introduction.
Second. And that's a unanimous vote for introduction.
We're not, the introduction of ordinance is not to be adopted prior to
November 20th.
December the, whatever the date is, I guess.
Ninth.
There's one item, Dale, I believe that should be pulled from the agenda, and that's 155.
Correct,
Is that
155.
The annexation ordinance.
Correct.
And I will make that motion if you want to read it, and then I'll make the motion to
Okay,
pull it.
it's ordinance 155. It's an annexation ordinance, tag number 14-2. It enlarges the limits and boundaries of the city. It's a 8.2538 acre tract of land located east of Norris Ferry Road and southeast of Southern Loop, located in sections 21 and 28 Township, 16 North, Range 13 West. It's the Norris Ferry Road and Church property.
I'll make a motion to remove ordinance 155 from the agenda.
Second.
Ms. McCullough?
And that is a 5-0 vote.
Right, the ordinances to be introduced are ordinance 138, amends the 2014 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 139 amends the 2014 General Fund budget. Ordinance 140 amends the 2014 Airports Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 141 amends the 2014 Golf Enterprise Fund budget. 142 amends the 2014 budget for the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund. 143 amends the 2014 Riverfront Development Fund budget. 114 amends the 2014 General Fund budget. 145 amends the 2014 Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund budget. 146 amends the 2014 Airport Enterprise Fund budget. 147 amends the 2014 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. 148 amends the 2014 Downtown Entertainment Special Revenue Fund budget. 149 amends the 2014 Golf Enterprise Fund budget. 150 amends the 2014 General Fund budget. 151 closes and abandons the sidewalk dedication in the School Park subdivision in Section 35, Township 18 North, Range 14 West. 152 closes and abandons Pinnock Street and an adjacent diagonal, adjacent alley between Hearn Avenue and Missouri Avenue. 153 closes and abandons the alley in the 2700 block of James Avenue between Greenwood Road and James Avenue. 154 accepts the bid for the right and privilege of placing and maintaining bus benches with advertising on the public right-of-way. There is one add-on, it's ordinance 156, an ordinance to amend chapter 106 of the code relative to planned unit developments and planned building groups.
So moved for introduction.
Second.
All right, we got a motion from Councilman Jenkins, seconded by Webb. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just so no one will be blindsided, I do have some concerns about closing Pinnock Street. That is a main roadway for that end of the Queensboro neighborhood leading into Hearn Avenue. Now, there are two road closures on here. The one with James Avenue, I have no objection to that. I can see that there's nothing but Willis Knight properties, and it leads into, I think, the Medical Arts Building. But Pinnock Street is an open roadway that is connected to the end of the Queensboro neighborhood. It brings you directly into Hearn Avenue. I probably want to see a little bit more on that before we make a decision about actually closing that particular street at that location. But we will vote for introduction today.
All right, is there anybody left to vote? I think we got them. That's 5-0 for introduction.
The non-ordinance is on second reading and final passage. Ordinance 98 authorizes the city to close and restrict vehicular access to Lake
Move
Street.
to postpone.
Second.
All right.
Who second the motion?
Councilman Jenkins, Oliver Jenkins.
Questions about that? I assume y'all had meetings this past week, or they did, or?
We discussed yesterday, the administration at the last meeting had said that they were going to facilitate a meeting with the parties who would be affected by this change. They weren't able to schedule that meeting until tomorrow, so we're postponing this again to allow for that meeting to take place. And that meeting is scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the Mayor's Large Conference Room.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? No? Okay. And that's 5-0 to postpone.
Ordinance 109 will amend and reenact certain sections of Chapter 94 of the code. These are, you want to?
So moved.
Second.
And if I could, it was a point of discussion. This set of ordinances addresses the rates and the water conservation rates that we've discussed over the past few months. And the Infrastructure Committee did have a chance to meet this afternoon and did make a recommendation for passage of these. So with that, we are asking for you to move forward with the passage of this amendment.
Vice Chair, for the sake of those folks who are watching, would you have Dale or Barbara give a brief recap of what those conservation rates are? Because I have no doubt for those folks watching, we'll end up with some calls in the morning.
Indeed, yeah. And these
asking exactly what that is.
These rates are intended to take some of the burden off of our users of water who use a lower level of water, and reward them for not using as much of the resource that we have that is a finite resource. So, Barbara, if you want to give us a little bit of an idea of how this will work, this is something that should benefit our users at the low end of the use scale, and really will be revenue neutral to the city. So we're not going to be making extra money from this. We're going to be staying level. But one of the good things about this new system is also that it will have more consistent payments to us throughout the year, and not go up and down as much with the weather conditions and usage rates. So.
Sure. Over the past, several months, and kind of starting at the end of 2013 and into the beginning of 2014, we worked on a study with our consultant to look at what costs go into serving each of the different customer types, residential, industrial, and commercial, and looking at if there are some options with regard to how those rates are structured. Right now, the current rates are set up the same for residential as they are industrial, and that's for the meter sizes, the monthly fees, as well as quantity fees. And so we looked at what can we do that might help accomplish two things. One, kind of help those folks that use less water, that are typically your folks on fixed incomes, while giving us a consistent revenue. The revenue sufficiency study that was completed in 2013, that the rates were based on, basically gave us a target amount of revenue that we need to collect to be able to support the bond issues that we're currently starting to go through for the consent decree. So everything has to be revenue neutral, but how can we do something to help those other residents and still maintain that bottom line and avoid some of the issues we've had this year when we've had that kind of cooler, wetter year. Our revenues have been down from what we projected, and so we looked at accomplishing both of those two goals. In January of 2015, we have an automatic 14% sewer increase that's going to go into effect based on the ordinances that were passed last year. So what we looked at doing is what can we do to minimize that impact for next year, that increase, and kind of maintain this revenue. So what we've come up with is a conservation rate. And basically at the lower levels, the lowest levels being a tier 1 rate is 0 to 3,000 gallons, then it goes from 4 to 7,000 gallons, and 8 to 14,000 and above. Those have lower quantity fees. For example, if you use less than 3,000 gallons or less, your quantity fee is $1.32 a thousand versus the current $3.05 per thousand. But the monthly fee is up. The monthly fee that you pay every month instead of $4.80 is now $6.54. And so that provides us a more consistent revenue stream, but rewards those folks that use a little bit less money. Now, if you use, on average, say 10,000 gallons of water a month, your first 3,000 gallons are still billed at that $1.32, and then your second 3,000 gallons are billed at the next rate, which is a $2.63. So we've implemented these conservation rates that will help those folks that use less water. People on irrigation sprinklers, those rates start at a tier 3 because these are conservation rates. We're looking at people to, kind of conserve water. This will help us in the future as we kind of look at our resources with regards to our drinking water capacity. It's not a harsh conservation rate that you would see somewhere where water is scarce, like Florida, Arizona, California, where you get above 5,000 or 6,000 gallons and it is an exponential rate increase. So these conservation rates are going to be helpful in that again, those lower end users, your bills for next year, which the sewer rate was supposed to go up, is going up 14%. You're kind of not going to see an increase in your bill. Basically, if you use, up to 4,000 gallons of water, you won't see a change in your bill. Beyond 4,000 gallons of water, it's in the 30-40 cent range, and then on up as you use more water. So, we're very excited about this. This is the first time we've done conservation rates. Rates for industrial and commercial basically remain the same for those, for those users. But everything is revenue neutral, and it will help those folks that, on a fixed income and feel that if they use less water, they can control, at least one of the bills that they have.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Does anybody have any questions? I know we got some detailed information at an earlier meeting. If anybody needs a copy of that, we do have a copy, but if not.
Yeah, I'd like to get a copy of that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Barbara, can you provide a
Give it to us
copy?
at our next meeting, fine, put it in our mailbox. And
Absolutely. I'll get hard copies to council. And
And if y'all want to look at a copy just right now, just.
It's ready for a vote. At least a bunch of people will call me, that will help.
Mr. Sam Jenkins?
Mine's not.
All right. Looks like we've got a 5-0 vote to approve.
Ordinance 132 amends the 2014 capital improvements budget. It appropriates funds from the second sale of general obligation bonds, approved in Proposition 2.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. McCullough?
And that's a, let's see, 5-0 vote in support.
Ordinance 133 amends the 2014 capital improvements budget. It modifies funds for 18 existing projects and establishes 6 new projects.
So moved. Second.
Ms. McCullough?
And that's a 5-0 vote to approve.
Ordinance 134 amends Section 58-30 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the operation of self-contained portable handheld music or sound amplification or reproduction equipment
So
on
moved.
public square.
I won't ask him to explain. There's only one person on the council that even knows what these devices are.
I think you can blame the lawyers for that.
Yeah, does anybody need further explanation of this? I think Terry provided some.
I was just kidding. But,
Mr. Vice Chair.
B, if you'd like us to vote?
So we're still waiting on a second.
Second. I'll second.
Oh, I thought I saw.
That's a 5-0 in support.
Just 1 second, please. Going back to 133, there's an amendment indicated. I didn't know whether or not,
Oh, well, we didn't do it, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Could we reconsider 133?
Motion to reconsider 133.
Second.
I didn't see the amendment.
It increases funding for Lucas as a part of those projects.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion on the amendment.
Second.
Who seconded?
Webb.
Councilman Webb.
Ron Webb. Mr. Webb?
It's like a 5-0 in support of the amendment.
Ordinance as amended.
So moves on the ordinance as amended.
Second by the chair.
Thank you.
And that's approved.
Thanks, Dale. I believe we want 135.
Do we know anything about that?
It's a zoning ordinance. It rezones property located on the south side of West 79th Street, 300 feet east of Linwood Avenue, from R1D Urban One Family Residence District to B1 Buffer Business District, with MPC and Planned Building Group approval for residents. Mr. Shine's district.
Residents. Anybody?
I'll make a motion on it.
Okay, but let me ask, is it moving it to a residence, or is it moving it to a,
From what I remember,
Business.
there's 2 properties on the plot. It's subdivided for a residence and a commercial, small commercial space. Stephen, can you maybe give us?
I mean, obviously, it doesn't show that there was any opposition, so, but at one point.
This is
there was-
actually to rezone to B1, but there is a residence already there. They wanted to keep the residence on the property.
So it's to, it was
So it
like,
does add for a community building that would be on the site, for the community service for the Cedar Grove community. And so there was an existing residence there. They wanted to keep that residence there for now, but they didn't want to split the zoning up.
So any idea why the MPC, why they had 2 votes against this proposal?
Well, as you look at if you look at your vicinity map, there's not contiguous, so there was a little bit of concern that it may be potentially spot zoning. It's close to those other districts, but it is not exactly contiguous, and generally we try to avoid having zoning districts that are interrupted by the residential. So that was the reason for that.
I'm gonna make a motion to postpone.
I second it. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know enough about this deal, and I don't like the math, so.
Motion by Oliver Jenkins, second by Ron Webb, or Sam Jenkins? Sam Jenkins.
Put me down for it, yeah. I don't know enough about it to vote on it today.
And it looks like that's a 5-0 to postpone.
Ordinance 136, rezones property located on the north side of West College, 370 feet west of Lakeshore Drive, from R1D Urban One Family Residence District to B3 Community Business District.
So moved.
Second. It's a motion by Sam Jenkins, second by the Vice Chair. And that's a 5-0 in support.
Ordinance 137 was remanded, and those are all of the items on the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any matter on the table to be taken up at this time.
Okay, no, on Ron's.
Would you like to move to remove them from the table at this time?
And put them
then
up
we'll
for
them on the
next
regular
week?
agenda?
Yes, let's do that. I'll make a
I
motion to
mean,
take that
that
off.
seems to be kind of what we're thinking about here, so.
Julie, you want to, which ordinance is it?
Okay, I believe it would be ordinance 19 of 2014, that's the water and sewer fund budget. Somebody else would check me too, that would be good. Ordinance 21, airport enterprise fund budget. Ordinance 22, golf enterprise fund budget. 24, general fund budget. And we don't need that pay plan resolution because we already have that. I believe that's it.
Okay, did you include 2020 in there?
Yeah, oh, I think I did miss that one, thank you.
Okay.
20 community development, special revenue fund budget. If we missed anything, it could be taken off the table on the day of the meeting, but this lets everyone know it's.
Oh, we're talking about the table.
Do you understand what we're doing?
Yeah, motion to.
I couldn't remember all those numbers enough to repeat it, but what she said.
Okay, I will second that motion.
Okay. Ms. McCullough, thank you.
We've got a 5-0 vote to remove this from the table.
I don't believe that we have any appeals to be taken up at this time.
And do we have
And
any
the clerk's report
reports?
has already been given.
What's that? Any reports from officers, boards, and committees?
And other than your meeting today, which you already got.
I already gave that, but there was a risk meeting today. Is there anything? Nothing really new. Clerk's report has just been an excellent job of getting us through this one, so we'll go with that. Let's see. The council is there a motion to resolve?
Yeah, so
in the
moved,
committee?
resolve.
Second?
All right. And is there a motion to approve the minutes of October?
Mr. Everson, press
Oh,
it
I'm
again.
sorry. Got it. That's a 5-0. That's a 5-0 vote to resolve to the committee of the whole. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of October 28th, 2014?
So moved.
Second. By the chair. Or vice chair. That is a 5-0 motion, a 5-0 vote to approve the minutes. And Mr. Mayor, do you have any communications at this point?
We'll hit our earlier ones again, if you don't mind, Mr. Vice Chair, council members. I want to wish all of those who are here assembled and those who are watching either by Comcast or by Ustream a happy Veterans Day. Thanks and appreciation for the service and the sacrifice. I want to send out kudos and commendations to Commissioner Ken Epperson and Ms. Linda Clement, as well as all of the members of the committee and all of the volunteers, both those who are part of the city, the parish, and all the other levels of government, as well as the private sector folks who stepped up to help facilitate the 3rd annual Veterans Parade. Outstanding effort. Also had an excellent Makers Fair this past Saturday. Kudos to Dan Keel and all the folks who are involved with advancing that effort, and they also express great appreciation to Shelley Regal and all the folks within Spark for the work that they've done to help make that happen. I want to encourage all of those folks out there who are interested to come out Thursday at 10 a.m. To the downtown library. We will have the next phase of the Cross Bayou development planning effort go forward. There will be a presentation by the consultant team at 12 noon that will give a recap of some of the information that was gathered and processed since the last gathering. This coming Saturday at Columbia Park on Line Avenue, just a couple of blocks north of Kings Highway, will be the 2014 iteration of the Highland Jazz and Blues Festival, one of the coolest things that happens in North Louisiana. Come out, have a great time, and listen to a series of great Louisiana musicians. There'll be both some local as well as some regional folks, and we will be blessed with the presence of our South Louisiana neighbor, Mr. Kermit Ruffins, who, for those who are devotees of the HBO series Treme, you'll remember him from his starring role on that series. In addition to being a great jazz trumpeter, he's also an excellent cook, so I don't know if he's bringing his barbecue pit with him, but if he is, that will be an added treat. And lastly, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the council, I want to once again express great thanks and appreciation to all of the folks who have been involved over the course of the years in the effort to construct the northern section of I-49. All but the last two sections connecting into I-220 are now complete. You can get on Highway 1, drive all the way to Texarkana on an interstate highway, something that was dreamed about for a long time, was made possible through the efforts and the sacrifice of many, including the infusion of some $6-7 million of city money that was provided to the 2009 stimulus that the Governor Jindal in his infinite wisdom demanded that we include in Section I, the portion that runs from Highway 1 to Louisiana 173. Of course, my question, Mr. Jenkins, was, now how can I put city money into a portion of country highway? And they pointed to a federal reg that said that that was a part of the quote-unquote urbanized section. And so for the $70+ million that we need to build that portion, we're going to start with you all's stimulus money, and then we'll count from there. And so, not being one to want to stand in the way of progress, I reluctantly agreed. And Mr. Oliver Jenkins, that yet again, another opportunity for us to do something about improving the streets in the city of Shreveport. But that aside, I want to specifically thank Al Kessler, the late Al Kessler, for his tireless work on behalf of advancing the construction of I-49 North. I know that without question that he was there yesterday, keeping all of the clouds away so it would be a bright, clear, sunny day. Tommy Clark, who's now with BHP Billington, was the original chair of the I-49 funding task force that was put in place by Governor Mike Foster. Councilman Webb, we talked about everything from toll roads to Garvey bonds to all kinds of things to try and get that thing done. It finally all came together. Bob Gorman was the chairman that I worked with on that funding task force throughout the majority of my mayorship, so commend him with Tango Transport. He obviously understands the importance of it. From a political standpoint, there were two gentlemen who I thought, in my observation, led the way at the state level. It was former state representative, my former colleague, Representative Billy Montgomery, who put forth yeoman's work, continually championed this effort, and ultimately put together the mechanism utilizing the unclaimed property fund, the bonding of those dollars that facilitated the necessary funding to do the last two sections. And then at the federal level, our former U.S. Congressman, Jim, do you miss me now, McQuarrie, who put forward an outstanding effort, brought home some $240 million in a single earmark that went towards the $800+ million, a quarter of the funding in one earmark appropriation, Mr. Jenkins. That's what you call effective leadership. Would not be driving on that road today were it not for his efforts. In fact, the thing I remember at the time, the plan for the state was that we were going to start building the interstate from I-220 and go north. Congressman McQuarrie said the best thing that we can do is to build as many drivable miles of highway as possible, and also put the challenge on the folks in Arkansas as well. And so I'm going to bring home this $200+ million, and we need to go start building interstate at the Arkansas-Louisiana state line and then work our way southward towards Shreveport. Great and effective strategy that has us where we are right now. So again, Jim, do you miss me now, McQuarrie? Thank you for your effort, your sacrifice, and your leadership in getting I-49 finally done. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
All right, thank you. And I would like to join in thanking the organizers of the Makers Fair this past weekend. The Texas Avenue Community Association is the group that puts on that event. Dan Keel and my predecessor Monty Walford are two of the primary members of that group, and they really did a wonderful job. The event has, kind of changed and grown over the years, but it was just a fantastic sign of a lot of life in the center of our city. A lot of people for a long time were leaving and going out to the edges of town and forgetting about the center of our city. But going to events like that and having the privilege of representing this area and going to events like the Asiana Foundation and so many other festivals that occur in the heart of our city, there's a great desire to come to the heart of our city and to celebrate an authentic place that looks like Shreveport and feels like Shreveport. And events like the Makers Fair make that very clear. So thank you to them, as well as, in a very similar tone, the Highland Jazz and Blues Fest. As a Highland resident myself, I welcome everybody to come and enjoy our neighborhood. We have a funky, unique personality that I think, again, feels very authentic to Shreveport, and we love to share it. We love to have everybody come and
Play the saxophone?
visit our neighborhood. No, but I might dance to it. So, But okay, are there any other?
I have one. And I forgot to mention earlier, but I want to commend David Rowe Seminary for his overture of instituting a formalized veteran ceremony and bringing in kind of I'll call it the Barksdale leadership into a formal ceremony. He's done it, I think, maybe 3 years now, and I think it's both a great addition to our city, an opportunity for Centenary to get more involved with something that goes on the other side of the river, and kind of bring that whole community thing together. And I was reluctant to not mention it. It's a great program for those that get an opportunity to do it every year. Certainly one of the more uniting, unifying events that we have, I think, in the city. So I think it's a great overture on his part.
And the speaker today was?
Commander of Global Strike Command, Lieutenant General. I'll think of it.
Where's Google when you need it?
I wanted to call the names since you mentioned it.
I know, it was a great
All on television.
ceremony in the past. I couldn't make it today, but I'm sure it was a really great event.
Stephen W. Wilson.
Here we go.
Lieutenant General Commander, Air Force Global Strike Command.
Okay.
Partnership.
I think it's a great partnership, and certainly for those that haven't been or that get the opportunity to go, think about it every year because it is a very good ceremony.
All right, any other members of the council have any communications at this time? If not, we'll go into public comments. And it looks like we do have a few requests to speak here. Let's see, we'll start with Charles Filial.
Sammy must.
Yeah, Sammy had to leave. He, though I did get his comments, and I think we've got an answer for him on this already, actually.
He left in disgust after the street vote.
He may have.
Because
you upset him, Councilman.
He may have. He jumped in the car with Ken, and they're headed out.
Because Ken had a joke earlier, and he was afraid he couldn't upstage Ken's earlier joke. So that was the real reason.
Charles Filial, 3929 Eileen Lane. I ain't got in the Hall of Fame yet. I'm still getting on there. I'll be the next administration. I'm saying adios amigos. Bye-bye, y'all. Take your picture. go home and retire. So I'm gonna tell you something. Only thing I seen this administration do but Checkerboard Square on Stoner Street, on Hollywood, they patch up a city, a street, a patch up Bossier doing everything. They the world champions. Like I said, Bossier's fixing their streets up. Only thing, President Bush came here in 9/11, right? President Bush come here? They flew him here. He said, y'all got a good city, but y'all need to fix the streets up. Now, y'all gonna fix all these dog parks and all this other stuff, right? All this other stuff like the grants and all that. But you got one thing, you got to get to those places. You got to have a good street to get there. Because I told all these people on East District to send they front end lineman told them to send them every district which y'all operate. They need to send them in to y'all their bills and stuff. Because he had to change his wheels on the front. It messed up the whole wheels. The whole streets of Shreveport haven't been fixed since 1922, since my dad. And since the trolleys was here. These streets ain't been fixed since then. They haven't done nothing. Bossier just tearing us up. They got a whole street, they just fixing the whole streets everywhere over there. And our streets is not properly, and they got to go to these places. And how you gonna go to these places if you ain't got no good streets? It makes sense to have some great streets. Now I'm talking about it because that's why, excuse me for hollering back there, because I was saying he got to go ahead and get the streets done. My friend, I just got off the phone with him, he told me the Brock grant, they need to get the streets done immediately. They need to step. Who come up with that idea, patching the streets up in Stoner and all that? Who came up with that idea?
I think what you're referring to is the concrete panel replacement. And
that panel replacement? How come they just didn't tear up the whole street like Bossier did?
Because the other parts of the street weren't bad, and that's what
that
the engineers.
Make no sense.
The
just
engineers in here might be able to tell you about it. But what they were saying is that since we had a limited amount of money, tearing parts of street up that were not, that were still in good condition didn't make a lot of sense.
Well,
so they just tore out the panels.
They didn't do that. They just tore up the whole street and fixed it.
Well, they may have had a different situation on the base of the street. They may not have. I don't know. But certainly we can get the engineers to give you a little bit better answer.
Man. We got patching up streets, man. We patching up streets now. I don't want no. I ain't pay all them taxes for all of my years. All the taxes for Checkerboard Square. That's what I call it. Y'all come over with Checkerboard Square.
I saw that.
So I hope they come over with the streets better than what they are. Y'all need to tear them streets up and do like Bossier. Y'all got to compete. Bossier like whooping our butt. That Bossier that's doing it up. Y'all, we just ain't. But y'all take y'all picture and go on to the house. And just going on, because everybody gonna be replaced. Maybe I get in the Hall of Fame next year. But my mother still, maybe I get in there this year. I don't think so. No, I supposed to got in there this year. They said I supposed to got in there this year. They were there. I went over to the thing. They said the guy up there, they supposed to say. But I know I'll be in there sometime before I get away from here, I hope. Before my mother passed away, she 89. So I wish she could get in there. Wish she could see me get in there. That's what I want to do. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Filia.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I just give one pro, just so you know, the formula and how the street people generally evaluate it, if a street is less than 50% deteriorated, then they will fix it by panels. If it's more than 50% deteriorated, then they'll replace the whole street. It's about an effective use of your. If you've got portions of the street that are in good shape and stable, it makes sense to only replace the panels. That's where you have more money to be able to go out and fix more streets. But I understand. I respect your opinion.
My daddy in the streets ain't been since the trolley was here. Them streets ain't been since the trolley was been here. I remember the trolleys, man. Them streets ain't been fixed in. I'd rather ride the trolley. Y'all getting it better.
All right.
Y'all gonna have to paint them off.
Well, thank you, Mr. Filia.
You're making our Thompson feel nostalgic over there, bro.
It looks like our next comment.
I wanted a citizen investigation.
Our next comment is from Marvin Muhammad. No, there's one more. And as Mr. Brent Richardson still here?
No, he, I saw him earlier, he said whatever issue he had got resolved.
Okay.
I think Councilman Shine worked with him and Bonnie.
Marvin Muhammad, 1413 Clay. I'm actually here now to do a PSA. I told them I wasn't the one for this, but they said I was nominated, so I'm here. I'm here on behalf of the local UNIA ACL Vision 422. I actually have the honor of being the vice president of that chapter. Mary Glover and Councilwoman McCullough, you might know that Kojay Livingston, who made his transition, he was the founder of the local chapter, and we, as he always said, you know, what are you going to do? So we're here keeping up that fight and representing for himself and for his family as well. Ironic enough, the UNIA ACL, we are holding a community health fair in African Market. What's ironic about this is that the city of Shreveport is also holding a health fair, men's health fair, that same Saturday. I just found that out about a couple of days ago. But nevertheless, in conjunction with the Grambling State University Nursing Department and also the Black Corps nurses, we will be holding a community health fair and African Market fair, November 22nd, from the hours of 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. At 7720 Linwood. I believe that's in the City Councilman District D, Micah Carpet, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna have blood pressure screening, vision screening. We're also going to have diabetic screening, have fun for the children, chest, face painting, just a lot of fun, a lot of activity. We're going to have vendors. Some of the contact information that can be used to get more information is Malikia Antawa. She can be reached at 318-655-8081, and also Nubian Culture Outreach Center at 7720 Linwood. They can also be reached for more information, and that number is 686-4477. So we want to let the city of Shreveport to know that we are in conjunction with them in that same spirit. You know, I guess we could say bright minds think alike. So we'll be wishing them a great success out on Burt Coons, and we too in the City Grove area also would like to invite the city to come out as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It looks like that's all we have for public comments. If there's no objection, we'll reconvene the regular council meeting. And the committee rises and reports. Meeting is adjourned.
Boy,
Thank
get
you,
off the
guys.
record. Click the mic.
Ron?
Mic on?
Looks like
Yeah, I just muted it.
looks like your legislation.
It's amazing how much.